record that. Okay, so so we're going to record this session today. I'm going to be sending this off to Mark Olish later for his review. So I'm going to ask everybody to be gentle, be kind. So good morning, welcome. So I'm glad that you're here. And so when I asked Ryan about teaching the Market Center, he said, let's talk about lead generation. So I dug into the Keller Williams material and I said, okay, well, the MREA 36123 is designed to help us help with the lead generation process. That's really what it's all about. So 36123 does anybody know what that means, what that stands for? Have you heard this before?
I forgot.
You forgot, okay.
Touches appointments, listings?
Okay. 3 hours a day of lead generation. Okay. So we've got 3 hours a day, right? How many months?
12.
How many transactions?
36.
Bingo, right. So you do 3 transactions, yet it's 3 hours a day. So if we think about this in terms of lead generation, 3 hours a day, let's say there are 200 work days in a year, that is 600 hours of lead generation time. If you close 36 transactions, and in this market, the average sale price is pretty similar, we're at about $250,000, more or less, and if you assume a 3% commission, that's $300,000 of gross commission income. So $300,000 of gross commission income divided by 600 hours, what's that number? Do the math for me. 300,000 divided by 600.
500.
500. So what is that 500?
500 an hour.
500 an hour. Is anybody in this room getting paid $500 an hour? So is it worth investing in lead generation time? Okay. Yet, how many of us are doing it? Raise your hand if you're doing 3 hours a day. And you're doing it consistently.
Maybe not consistent.
And effectively.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if you're not doing it consistently and you're earning $500 an hour by lead generating, what else are you doing? What could you find that has more value? Is there anything that you could find that has more value than doing that? All right. So that's why we're going to focus on lead generation, because it doesn't matter, for the most part, every other conversation we have always comes back to lead generation. So let me introduce myself to you. My name is Michael Horwitz. I am the lead productivity coach in the Palm Beach Central Market Center. I have been with Keller Williams for 7 years. I started my journey in the Jupiter Market Center as an agent and as a trainer, and I wrote a program called Fast Start, designed to help agents get up and running, and then I became a Fast Start trainer and coach, and became very active in the training team there, and then wound up in Stewart as the assistant team leader and productivity coach, and then as the interim team leader while the team leader was out for some surgery. And then I wound up with my own surgery, so I was out for about 1.5 years, and then joined Palm Beach Central. So I came back into action and productivity into Palm Beach Central. So I am the lead productivity coach there. I've been a real estate broker for over 20 years, and with my former wife and I ran a local real estate company for almost 18 years. We had about 140 associates, and we doubled the size of the company every single year in gross income and net income for 15 years in a row. So had a very successful company, and then in 2007, 2008, 2009, was anybody in real estate back then? Okay, well, so I can tell you about the olden days, right? And back then we had the real estate depression here in this area. Values dropped 60, 70, in some markets 80%. And we had a 10% market share in the areas that we served. Yet when you have 10% of a market that there's not a whole lot going on, it doesn't matter. At one point we had 100% of the market. We sold the only house that was sold in the market area in a given month. So we said, all right, we need to make some changes, And then we downsized and then ultimately joined Keller Williams, and I'm having a blast. So I am also a trainer. I'm a one thing certified trainer, so I'm one of a handful of people around the world who do that. I am one step away from being Keller Williams faculty, and I'm also KWKC, Kids Can certified trainer, and I am going to be the regional liaison for this area to promote KW Kids Can throughout the region, because it is my passion. It's the thing that I'm most I love and care about the most, making a difference in the lives of youth. I'm also a college professor. I teach leadership, organizational behavior. I wrote a course on leading groups and teams, self-leadership, and several others. And in just a couple months, I'll be Dr. Horwitz. So, yeah. So I've got a broad and diverse background. Real estate is my foundation. I'm a former practicing CPA. Did a stint at law school, decided it was not for me. And so I'm stuck with what I do, what I know, what I love, and what I think I can contribute the most to. And it's training and helping real estate agents become great agents. So that's why I'm here today, is to help you with this. And I asked if I could teach in the market centers. I said earlier, Ryan said lead generation. Now we know, and Gary Keller tells us, that our most important activity is what? Why does that matter?
You need clients.
You need clients for what?
Business.
To do what?
To make money.
To make money. Right, perfect, make money. If we don't make money, what happens?
You're broke.
You can't pay the bills, right? And then what happens? What do people say when they're not lead generating in real estate? When they come into the office, they're not lead generating, what starts to happen?
That drunk monkey.
Excuse me?
That drunk monkey.
The drunk monkey sets in. What happens over time if they're not lead generating and doing business?
They leave.
They leave. What do they say?
It's harder, they're not making any money.
They say it's hard, they're not making any money. What else do they say?
It's just not for me.
It's just not for me, and I'm going to get a,
Job.
well, isn't this a,
Job.
yeah, okay, it is, it's a pretty good one, right? We spend $2,000-3,000 to get our licenses, to get set up, to get started, to do the basics that we need to do in a place where we can earn millions of dollars. And we just calculated the value of our lead generation time is how much an hour?
$500.
$500 an hour. So if we lead generate 50% of the time, and this is a model that I learned years ago. If we are lead generating 50% of the time and we have 2,000 hours in our work year, that leaves us 1,000 hours to go do business. So if that lead generation time earns us $500 an hour, we're gonna earn $500,000 a year. Would that change anybody's life in this room? Would that pay for a 5-star trip? Could you stay in a 5-star hotel and fly first class? Flying over the ocean from here, there to Israel for 14 hours. It's actually 13 hours and 15 minutes. If you do it in first class, it's better. Yeah, it's better, right? So you have the choice, right? You can fly coach, you can fly first class, and it all comes down to one thing. How much time you're willing to invest and how effective you are, because you can put in time and not get results. True?
Yeah.
So we have to focus on the right activities. So I asked earlier, if you read, and I asked if you read the one thing, and you said yes. And what did you get from it? And you said
Focus.
so. When we say focus, what do we mean?
Taking all that scattered ideas and narrowing it down.
Narrowing it down. Okay, so we call that the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Okay, we say, all right, we're going to take all the stuff, and Pareto was an Italian economist who came up with this concept that has been implemented and revised and updated and proven over and over again, that 20% of our activities generate 80% of our results. 20% of the wealth in Italy was held in, vested in the hands or 80% of the wealth was vested in the hands of 20% of the people. GE did research on it, and they found that 80% of the defects came from 20% of their parts. IBM found that their biggest problem was the 20% of the code that ran the software created 80% of this, was used 80% of the time, and that was the part that they had to make sure operated properly. And we see that over and over and over again in our lives. This 80-20 rule plays out. And the 80-20 rule is that 20% of our effort is going to generate 80% of our results. So what's our 20% activity? Then we can drill down even further, and we can do what's called an extreme Pareto, and we can go deeper. And we can find that actually 4% of our activities are going to generate more than 50% of our results. Statistically, it's going to be 64%. And don't hold me to that, because that's statistics, and, you know, they don't always turn out exactly the way we'd like, yet we know that we can generate about 50% of our results from 4% of our effort. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is this idea of prospecting. Because prospecting is what generates the other activities that gives us business. And then we heard about recently, we heard a few minutes ago, that I've got buyers, I'm trying to find inventory. So maybe we gotta go prospect for inventory, right? We've gotta be looking and knocking on doors and uncovering whatever we can in order to help them find that inventory. Don't wait for it to become available.
Right.
Go create it, right? Go make it happen for them. Wouldn't that be the thing that we would wanna do?
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried that?
Mm-hmm.
And what have you tried so far?
I did, it's one area in particular that I have a client that is very specific about this one complex. I walked the complex, did a little bit of door knocking, although I'm not great at that. But did leave, flyers and, a door hanger, attached a little seed packet to it, and it was, yikes, help me, and take these as a thank you sort of idea, but.
Okay,
Just-
so what was the message?
That I had clients that were very, I had a family that was very interested in purchasing, and unfortunately, they just missed the last sale that happened in here. Did
Okay.
you happen to know of anybody that's thinking about selling?
And what kind of response did you get?
I didn't really get much of a response. I did get a couple of people call in reference to them wanting to get a market analysis. That was about it.
Okay, so why did they want the market analysis?
I think they were being nosy.
Okay, well, what else
That's okay.
All right, so they were being nosy, and what else do you think they might have been thinking?
Well, definitely long-term. I mean, there are
Right.
people that are in my database, and, I'll reach out periodically with information right now concerning where the market's headed, interest rates.
Mhm. Where do you think the market's headed? Where do we think the market is headed in this area? Because real estate is hyper-local, right? It changes across the country.
Mhm.
So where do we think the market's headed in this area?
Since Florida is so unpredictable, it changes at the drop of
Okay, so that's Florida,
yeah.
right? Then we have South Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, it's different in Miami, and it's different in Fort Lauderdale. It's certainly different in Palm Beach, right? Miami's got the long market times are getting longer. Many more condos on the market, but yet their housing market is still pretty strong. Single family homes are still pretty strong. Yet we're starting to see what in our area. Right now we've got limited inventory in some markets. Yet in other markets we're starting to see time stretch, and we're starting to see an increase in inventory. So
Yeah,
what do we think is going to happen? What are we always prepared for?
the worst.
There's a book. Gary and Jay wrote a book. Gary Keller, right? Wrote a book. Shift,
Oh, yeah.
right? We're always prepared for a shift. What's the most important thing that you do in a shift?
Change what you do.
Shift.
Lead generate, right?
Okay.
The right answer in every Keller Williams class is always lead generate. Okay, no matter what, say lead generate, you can't be wrong. So I appreciate the activities that you're doing, and my comment to that is keep doing it, because you just haven't uncovered the right person. We know that statistically 1 in 10, because people stay in their homes an average of 10, 11 years, sometimes less, sometimes more. So if we assume that the number is 1 in 10, that means 10% of those properties are probably gonna be on the market at some point in time in the year, because there's a temporary. Now, I don't know what the turnover rate is, have you looked at that?
It's pretty low. I forget what percentage, cause there was a whole clump about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, that
Right,
absconded.
right.
But it's, the turnover's not high at all.
Okay, so how many units are in the, this is a farming conversation, it goes to lead generation. How many units are in the subdivision?
There's about 120.
Okay, so it's a smaller subdivision.
Mhm.
What were the sales in the last 12 months?
The sales were, I wanna say they were about 20, in the mid-20s.
Okay, so that's a big turnover rate in a
Exactly.
subdivision. So it sounds to me like there probably is some opportunity, you just haven't uncovered it yet. Right? So
Keep after it.
keep after it.
Mhm.
Yeah, keep after it. Door knocking, putting out a fly, putting out a door hanger is great. Yet if you're not consistent, and we'll talk about consistency in prospecting, if you're not consistent, you're gonna miss that mark.
Yeah.
Because there's a statistic that we talk about quite often in KW. How many people, what percentage of people interview one agent? You know what that number is, that statistic? Okay. 70% they interview one agent, they talk to one agent when they make their decision. Okay? Then the number is around another 20% or so talk to 2 agents. So that means if you're not number 1 or 2, bless you, you've got like less than a 10% shot to get hired. So what's important about that 70% statistic is that if you don't have mind share, which we gain by prospecting, if you don't get mind share, you won't be the agent they call.
Right.
They'll call somebody else because people talk to, what I see, and bless you, you must be allergic to me. I feel bad. My experience has been that people hire the first agent that's in front of them at the time that they have the need. So it doesn't matter how well they know you, if you don't have mind share, you're not the person they're gonna call. So you door knock, help me, they're gonna follow that back up. Hey, I left some information behind, have you thought about this? Have you come up with anybody? Have you guys considered selling? If I could get you the right price for your home, would you be interested in selling your home? Just ask the question.
Right.
And then, of course, they're gonna say, what's the right price? Well, I don't know yet. I've kind of done a little bit of a market analysis, haven't seen your home. Would it be okay for me to come by and see it this afternoon at 4? Or is it tomorrow at 3 better for you, right? Get the appointment, and then have the conversation. And if you talk to enough people, what happens? Something happens, right? So let's go right to the first page of this handout I gave you. And I just want you to answer this question for me. It'll take just a few minutes. It says 10 minutes. I don't think it'll even take you that long. List the lead gen activities that you have completed during the last 24 hours. So that goes back to 9:25 yesterday. What you did in the last 24 hours. Okay. What did you learn from those activities? And if you didn't, so if we didn't do lead gen activities in the last 24, let's go get back a couple days. Let's get a list of the activities that you're actually doing, okay? Because then I want to know what was the most difficult part of that, right? So box 1 is what were your activities, box 2 is what was your learning. And then box 3, what made it difficult? And I'm gonna get comfortable and take off my jacket. always forget to do when I use my phone for video is I don't turn it off. And then if the phone rings, it stops the video. So. And then when you're done with that, if you just put your pens down, that way I'll know that we're done. No rush, we still have a couple minutes. Think through this. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. So what lead generation activities have you engaged in the last 24 hours, last day? Let's share. And I'd like to ask you to keep this interactive so that we can share our thoughts with each other. This is a safe environment, right? We're in here, we don't judge anybody, you know, and some of the best ways we learn is by masterminding, by sharing our ideas, learning what worked and what didn't, and then maybe we come up with some new ones. Right? Because we all can learn from each other, the power of the group. The research is that the group will come up with a better solution 98% of the time than the single smartest individual in the room. So we work together, which is why the power of the mastermind, which is why we call them masterminds and we work together. So let's share with that and let's be interactive. So let's talk about what our activities were in the last 24 hours. And if we didn't do any, then what is that question? That's a different question, right? So let's start with what did we do?
I did person-to-person contact.
What does that mean, person to person?
I went somewhere yesterday and I was trying to set up workshops.
Oh, what kind of workshops?
Teaching people how to buy their first house, how to rent.
Okay, first time home buyer,
Easy.
okay, great. So are you gonna do both or one, or at the same time, how are you gonna structure that? Just curious.
Whatever is able to be done, you know, whether it's tables or workshops or classes or
Okay,
whatever.
so give me an example where you went and talked to people.
I would rather not disclose that.
Okay, all right, fine. So I can tell you, I did one with the school board. And I talked to the Palm Beach County School Board and I arranged to get a high school. I did it in conjunction with the Realtors Association, and I did a first time home buyer workshop.
Did you talk to Jimmy Peterkin?
This was a couple of years back. I don't
He's still there.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
been there for a long
Yeah, I don't remember who I actually, I had 3 or 4 people that were helping to drive that into the school board.
time. Right.
So working with the Realtors Association, I did a first-time homebuyer seminar. I've done them in hospitals. Talked to Human Resources and did that as an employee benefit. Because one of the things that hospitals are concerned about is they hire a lot of people. And they hire people at all levels. They hire people in sanitary function, they hire nurses, they hire orderlies, they've got laundry, they have all the environmental sciences, and they're hiring people at different pay grades. So they know that, however, that employees typically won't travel more than 30 miles, more than 30 minutes. So they need to figure out how to hire and retain. And home buying workshops was very helpful. Especially when I was a founding member of the Housing Leadership Council. And it was a very high-powered, it's still active, getting active again. It was inactive for a while because there was no affordability issues. And the goal of the Housing Leadership Council was to ensure, Palm Beach County, was to ensure that we had affordable housing for all workers at all levels. So it wasn't about low income versus high income, it was across the board. We needed workforce housing. Whether you were the CEO of an organization or whether you were the receptionist, you need a place to live, because we know that. So as a result of that, we are very active in the healthcare industry has been facing challenges with retention because they need places for employees to live. Now that hasn't been a problem until recently, yet here in Palm Beach County, we're looking at some affordability questions. The Housing Leadership Council is now reactivated and now doing programs, and they're now having lots of conversations. Because if you look at the average sale price in Palm Beach County, and you look at the median income, we now are at an affordability challenge, which is why buyers are having trouble finding inventory, because stuff that comes on the market's going right away. We're at 30, 40 days average market time, and in some of our really tight markets, it's less than that. So driving buyers is important, creating inventory is important too. The Housing Leadership Council is also about trying to create some inventory. So we have new home builders that are building homes, and some are building in the affordability area. So we have to identify new home opportunities as well, and those don't always show up in the MLS. So we've got to do some research on those and find builders who are delivering that kind of product and help our buyers. So if we can't find it for them, we can't turn it up, we have to create it. And so workshops are a great opportunity to get in front of a lot of people, right? Are you bringing allied resources? Allied resources, lenders, insurance companies, credit, you need credit, you need, whether or not it's consumer credit counseling, but you need one of the credit counseling services, because first-time home buyers need the certificate if they're gonna apply, get grants, right? Florida Housing Finance Corporation. Who is going to the Florida Housing Finance Corporation seminar? Okay, so do some research, find out when Florida Housing Finance Corporation is doing their seminars, and you can, they actually had a designation, I haven't seen it lately, it was a attainable housing specialist. And you got a certification from them and you showed up on their website. Because Florida Housing Finance Corporation, the people that do bonds, and they have the HEROES program and they have the neighbor program, where people, they can get bonds to help them cover down payments and repairs. It can be used for closing costs, down payment, or repairs. Yeah. So put your allied resources together if you're going to do those kinds of seminars to have those people. What other kinds of lead generation activities have we done in the last 24 hours? And where did you do that?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts, and how did you do that?
I just went in and got a bagel and did work on the computer while it was open.
And what happened?
Nothing.
Okay, so how could you, all right, so nothing happened. All right, how do we make something happen out of nothing? What do we do? What do we do?
That's why we are lead generated.
What do we, right, okay, so we lead generate, what do we do? If we're sitting there, and if you're sitting there and your computer is open that says, hi, the real estate office is open, I'm here, and nobody comes up, is that proactive or reactive marketing?
React.
It's reactive, and what is this called right here? And it is
Pro.
therefore proactive, right? So what you did was reactive, right? And could you have made it proactive?
Probably.
What would you have to have done?
Been a little bit louder and draw attention. I don't wanna get kicked out.
Well, so what would happen if you went and got a $25 gift card and handed it to the person at the cash register and said, I wanna use this up buying people coffee?
I don't really have $25.
Okay, so what if you use 10? So the point is, okay, all right, so then you talk to people. Say, hey, who do you know that, I'm here today because I want to provide information about real estate, that's what's going on in the community. I'm your local expert. What does Gary say that we should be? And how do we become the local expert? What do?
Study.
We study, and we know what? We know what's going on. What do you mean?
We have those conversations with people.
Okay, so when you say what's going on, what exactly do we mean by
Give
that?
numbers. How the market is.
We know what?
Give numbers.
Numbers, what kind of numbers?
Sold, actives, months of inventory.
Interest rates.
Interest rates,
The
right?
buyer's
Yeah.
or seller's market.
Yeah.
Is it a buyer's or seller's market, right? We become the economist. Gary describes that as being the economist. You know your area, be laser focused, and be able to have conversations. And what if you stop somebody walking by and said, hey, I'm here today because I'm trying to provide some helpful real estate information. Or you or anybody else thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Well, no, I own a house, so would you like to know what your home is worth?
Can I say something with that?
You may.
Regarding that point?
Yes?
I find that when you're in like places like Dunkin' Donuts and those places, it's easier to approach people when you're coming from a place of contribution. So if you're offering them something free advice, like a brochure, something that you printed that gives them information on the area, the market, they're more inclined to not be rude and to even listen,
Thank you so much for that, yeah. Come from contribution, have something of value to give away.
Right.
So the thing of value is market stats and offering a free analysis of their home. Somebody says to you, well, I don't own a house, I rent. You say, really, you rent, so when is your lease up? Well, in 3 months, have you ever thought about buying? Well, I can't buy. How do you know? Ask good questions. Learning how to ask good questions. In KW, we say go 3D. And then there are others who say go 5. And the Toyota lean management system is go 5D. Ask why 5 times to get to the core. So ask questions to be able to uncover people's needs and come from contribution. I'm there to help, I'm here to help you, right? So I'm here to help. My goal is to help 25 people realize their real estate dreams next year. You're one of the people I thought of that can help me. Can I count on you? Isn't that one of our scripts?
Yeah.
Right? Which script is that from? You remember? That's Ignite. Session 1 of Ignite, remind people you're in real estate. Right? Go back to your scripts, learn your scripts and memorize your scripts so that you can deliver the message so that it's automatic. Because what happens when we're in those environments is we get a little flustered sometimes, right? Do we forget our scripts?
Yes.
Yeah, we get a little uncomfortable, so we forget them. Right? So if we memorize those scripts, they become part of who we are. We memorize, internalize, and then we can use them in those opportunities so we can create more opportunity.
So you said, what was your line? Hey, I'm here today trying to.
Well, I'm here today to provide valuable real estate information. I'm here today to provide valuable real estate information. Is there something I can do to help you? Well, no, not really. So, do you know anybody who's thinking about buying, or you or anybody else thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Well, just so it's funny that you ask. My brother is. Actually, I coach an agent out of Boca Raton, and we met at Starbucks one afternoon for our coaching session. I was coming back up out of Fort Lauderdale, and we started talking, and I said to her, so what lead generation activities have you done today? Now, this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. She had done none so far. I said, well, guess what we're going to do for the next hour? I'm going to watch, and you're going to go talk to people. and she just finally got her up and talking to people. It's no different than door knocking, is it? You're just catching them in a different environment. I said, so just, ask them. So, I'm curious, do you know anybody? I'm trying to grow my real estate business. My goal is to help 25 people realize their real estate dreams in this coming year. Do you or anybody else think about buying, selling, or investing in real estate?
Just like that.
Just like that. Just like that. Just like that.
Yeah, remember, it's not considered lead gen if you don't ask for the business from them and from their sphere, people that they know.
So let's define lead gen. Let's define it, okay? Because we get caught up in trying to figure out what lead gen is. So lead gen is asking for business. Right? What else is lead gen?
Getting their contact information.
Okay, getting their contact
So
information.
if you don't get their contact information, it's not
I'm
considered
not
a
not
contact?
saying that yet.
Okay.
I'm not saying that yet. What else is lead generation?
Finding out who has the desire to do business.
Okay, finding out the desire to the desire to do business. Okay, I can get that out. You said it much more articulately than I did. Okay. What else? What else is a lead gen activity?
Just getting my name out there in front of people,
Okay.
for,
Top of mind.
By doing what?
for, long term between,
What's the activity? What's the action?
You
I-
need them your contact.
business, either my business card or, I'm prospecting a lot from the north, because I've only been in Florida for, 5 months now.
Okay.
So
From where?
it's outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
So it's, it's my Facebook, it's reaching out behind,
Mhm.
behind the Facebook, that type of
Are you
thing.
calling them?
No, I'm not a caller.
Okay, I'm not a caller. Have you been involved yet?
Yes,
What do we call that? I'm not a caller. What is that called?
it's my drunk monkey, I know.
Okay, yeah, it's called a what?
An excuse.
Okay, right, we got reason and results, we can't have both, right? It's called a limiting belief,
Yes,
right? I'm not a caller. So if you tell yourself you're not a caller, you are what?
not a caller.
Okay, so what if you told yourself I'm a caller?
You're a caller.
We'll get past that. but
Okay,
it's-
we're gonna talk about that, so it's
Yeah.
okay. We're gonna dive into this. I wanna uncover this, I wanna unpack this, because we need to truly understand what are lead generation activities,
Right.
right? So what else is a lead generation activity? Door knocking, okay, what else?
Social media.
Social media, okay, in part, right, that could be lead generation activity, it's becoming more so today, right? Especially if you're target marketing, what else?
Yeah, sorry, can I just, you said in part, are you saying that it's not as strong? Cause I want that to be my main.
So, social media is taking on a whole new existence today. And Facebook has now come up, they have the analytics, and you can do very, 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 very tight, specific target marketing. Yet we have to remember that the word target marketing is marketing, not prospecting. So we are marketing, and marketing is generally reactive because we're putting it out there waiting for people to contact us. So it is a lead generation activity, and we're gonna talk about the difference between prospecting and marketing today too. So we have, marketing is a tool to get us out there to build mind share. And we're waiting for people to contact us. So we have to use that strategically. And what you're gonna learn, and I don't wanna teach ahead, we'll talk about how the two integrate in just a minute. How about open houses? Is that lead
Yeah.
generation activity?
Yeah.
So if you're doing an open house, what's another lead gen activity with that?
Circle
Door
process.
knocking.
Circle prospecting and door knocking, right? The circle prospecting could be calling or door knocking, inviting people to the open house. And in that script saying, I'm expecting a lot of people, and not everyone will love that house. So, have you ever thought about selling your home? Because I might need a different house, because there might have a buyer that might not need that house. Yet we know that people buy houses by going to open houses, they only buy that house 2% of the time. But they go to open houses, right? So when people go to open houses, what's on their mind?
Buying something. Checking it out.
They're buying, they're checking it out, they're what?
Or coming to eat and being nosy neighbors.
They're coming to eat and being nosy neighbors. Is there anything wrong with nosy neighbors?
Nothing.
Now, I've come to learn that that the nosy neighbors are interviewing me to find out if I'm a good listing agent. Because if they're going to an open house, real estate is on their mind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Real estate is on their mind. So if they're thinking real estate and they're now talking to you to find out whether or not you can do a good job, that's a job interview,
Yeah.
right? So what if you said to them, hey, I'm applying for the job? And they look at you and say, what? So I'm applying for the job. Somebody role play this with me.
What job?
The job to be a realtor.
I'm not moving.
Well, you're not now, but you will be, and when you do, I want to be that realtor. Open a conversation, and it can be funny and cute, right? So I don't need a realtor today. Yes, you do. Well, what do you mean? Don't you want to be a smart real estate owner? Don't you want to know what's going on in the market? You need somebody like me to provide you with market statistics. So let me get all your contact information so I can make sure that you're getting regular information from me that includes important information. You see the benefit of being a smart real estate owner, don't you? What are they going to say? No, I want to be a stupid real estate owner? No, I don't care. No, I'm just going to live here forever till I die, and it doesn't matter what happens in the market. My kids are going to have to worry about it. Okay, well, your kids are going to need a realtor, aren't they? And they'll be able to hire my grandson, whatever that answer might be. The goal is to create a connection, open a door to a relationship, so that you can develop mind share. They might not need you now. When they do need you, you want to be that person. So let me give you the definition of lead generation. Lead generation is any activity that puts you in front of people that are thinking about buying and selling real estate. It's any business development activity that you undertake. That includes open houses. It includes prepping for open houses. It includes understanding your market share. It includes sending out mailers. It includes door knocking. It includes making phone calls. It includes going to networking events. It includes chambers of commerce. It includes talking to school boards and hospitals and everywhere else you go. So lead generation is something that must be top of mind all the time. Your antenna has to be up and aware of every opportunity. Whether you're in Publix and you run into somebody you know and you haven't talked to them in a while, right? Hey, so just want to, so what's going on in your world? And then of course, so I just want to remind you, I'm in real estate. And so who do you know, if I know you guys have been in your house for 10 years. Have you ever thought about what your home is worth? Now might be a great time to cash out. I seem to remember one time, you and I talked, and you thought about moving to North Carolina. Is that still important to you? It just happened to me the other day. I ran into somebody in Publix, standing behind me in the pharmacy, and I turned, hey, how are you? And we got into this conversation, and I asked. She said, yeah, we really are thinking about moving to North Carolina, but we're not sure we can get out of our house. Boy, she opened up that door, I drove a truck through it, because you just never know, right? Lead generating in the grocery store, right? Go to Home Depot, stalk the open house sign aisle, right? Those people are right there. Somebody goes pick up an open house sign, stop them. Say, I want to stop you from making a terrible mistake. So what do you mean? Well, you're going to do this without a realtor? 95% of the homes are sold by realtors. There's a reason for that.
90,
It's over 90. And it changes. It went down for a while, but the market was so hot. We're still selling most of the homes. We're still selling them. I think the stat is typically hovers around 90%. Sometimes it drops to 87. Sometimes it goes up to 95. But 90 is a pretty close statistic. And the research is that we get them more money. We get them 10% more than they would get on their own. So even with the commission, they're going to earn more money. My favorite conversation with a for sale by owner when I get them on the phone is, hey, Mr. Fusbo, Mike Horwitz here, Keller Williams Realty. I see you and I are both in the same business. I just do mine full time. How can I help you? How's your sale going? Your house is in the area that I sell homes. Well, I'm not going to list with a realtor. Okay, I understand. I'm not asking you to list your home with me. I just want to come and see it. Would that be okay? Because if my buyers ask me about it, I wanna be knowledgeable. I don't wanna just drive by and say, I don't know. Yeah.
So the stuff that I use for Fizzballs, I just call the few, I haven't
Mhm.
done a lot of calls yet. Is that I offer, well, cause when you call, it's like they have their defenses up, cause they have
Mhm.
other people calling. So I let them know.
You know how to stop that, don't you? How to stop other people from calling them?
How to-
Sign.
Yeah, how to stop them from, stop other people from calling them?
No.
Have them hire you. The other
Oh.
people stop calling.
That's true. So I immediately let them know that I'm not calling because I want to list their property. I appreciate that they're trying to do themselves and I understand where they're coming from, but what I want to do is to host open house for them. Free of cost, no obligation, they don't have to sign anything. I'm gonna do the marketing, I'm gonna do the flyers, I'm gonna do the door knocking, I'm gonna post everything online. And they're probably thinking, okay, so what's in it for you? Well, we're both gonna benefit because the buyers that come through the house that are not interested in this house, I can make a contact and find them another house and you will find a buyer, or hopefully will find a buyer.
And then who writes the contract for them?
Well, if, that's another thing, like if they decide that they want you to do that part, I was told that you, cause I'm pretty new, I was told that you can do, like a reduced commission, cause you're just taking care of the transaction.
Okay.
But that's if they decide,
Yes.
but even if they don't, like you're really doing it to get, it's a lead gen activity.
So, I'll add
Mhm.
to that is that I would not consider that an if they want. I'd make that part of my presentation. And if a buyer decides they wanna purchase them, I'll help you write the contract and bring the deal to closing. Because the most difficult part is not getting the buyer. The most difficult part is getting it to closing. There's so many steps. There's 100+ steps in a real estate transaction. When you look at all of the activities that we have to undertake, it's complicated. You wanna have the right experts. I would hate to see you work with the wrong person.
To make a huge financial mistake.
It could be a huge financial mistake. Start asking questions. Who's gonna hold the escrow deposit? What's gonna happen during the inspection period? How are we gonna ensure that the contract is properly drafted so that all parties are equally protected? Who's gonna actually handle the closing? How are you gonna bring this all together? What about insurance and looking for open code liens and all of the other things that we have to make sure get done? Who's gonna handle that for you? Are you gonna do that yourself? Well, you know, I work. Well, really? Tell me about your hours. Well, you know, I leave the house at 7, I get home at 8 o'clock at night. It sounds like you have a lot of time left to follow up on these, since most of this stuff happens during business hours. You can have these conversations. So again, and I think to that, to be conversational. Now, have you taken bold yet?
I have,
Okay, so there are some for sale by owner scripts in bold, right?
correct.
Have you gone back and looked at those?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. All right, incorporate those scripts. Those scripts are tried and true and tested. And they work. They feel a little they feel a little uncomfortable till you use them. Yet as you use them and you start internalizing them, they start to get more comfortable. And I think you'll find that it'll help you in your script.
Yeah.
Also, it'll help you in what you're doing. So that's a great way to build business, right? Holding an open house for sale by owner. Is that a lead gen activity? How many have you done?
I haven't, I just started calling them.
Ah,
this week,
okay. And
but-
what kind of response you getting?
It hasn't been bad at all.
Hasn't been bad, which makes that what?
It's been good,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Because I think in their mind, they're not signing anything, they're
Mhm.
getting free marketing, which they're not doing, because they're not gonna door knock, they're not gonna print flyers. They probably just put it on Zillow and that's it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not asking them to sign anything.
Right.
Like, so they see it as, okay, I'm not losing anything, yeah, sure.
So there is a commission agreement form, that if you're doing the open house and you do come to a place where you reach an agreement that they will pay you, if you help them with a buyer, you wanna have that commission agreement. Cause you wanna make sure that you isolate that.
Right, if I'm
You
gonna
wanna make
start
sure you
having
isolate
that,
that when you're at that point.
yeah.
Because you don't wanna get down the road and find out, we didn't really have a meeting of the minds. There's actually a friend of mine, Dr. Gary McGrath. We were on the phone, it was November 23rd, 2012. It was an afternoon call, it was just before Thanksgiving, and we were just catching up. And he said, you know, Mike, I've come to realize something. The root of all unhappiness is unmet expectations. So write that down. The root of all unhappiness is unmet expectations. So it's his phrase, I attribute it to him. I've researched it, it's his, it's never been said before, it's never been published. The root of all unhappiness is unmet expectations. So in all of our conversations that we're having, especially if we're having them with open house, with these with for sale by owners, we want to have clarity, because clarity is power, right? We need clarity, and when we set clarity around expectations, what we both expect from each other, mutual expectations, then that helps remove the unhappiness that sometimes we experience. So I would be careful about saying, don't sign anything. I would just say, I'm not gonna ask you to sign a listing agreement.
So are you saying that if I don't decide to mention that whole commission part and I'm not that, I mean, because to me, that would just be a bonus, you know what I mean? Like, even if he doesn't hire me to do that, I'm still out there prospecting. And the way I'm looking at it is I'm building a relationship with him, so if he does decide, which a lot of FISBOs, they decide to listen
Well,
to
we
me
know that,
anyways,
right? We know that.
he's more than likely gonna choose me. I did a free open house for him, I've
Right,
been
so-
talking to him.
So you're doing the free open house, and that's a cool way to lead generate, and I support that, okay? And so to not talk about what happens if somebody buys the home and say, I can help you through that, you're missing an opportunity. And again, you're not asking for the listing in that moment, yet what you're doing is you're opening the conversation with them to the possibility that if you do a great job holding open houses, they're gonna realize that having to be home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to show a house to somebody that's not qualified is no longer fun. And then when it starts detracting from their work life and their personal life and the other things that are going on, and people that are showing up that can't buy the house, or they're getting calls by investors offering them $50,000 below what they're asking, or worse, they're gonna start to think, okay, I need an expert. Yet don't miss that opportunity when you're holding the open house to say, and if somebody comes through and wants to buy the house, I can help you through that process.
For sure, yeah.
And I can help you through that at a reduced fee, and that will help you. So don't miss that opportunity to plant that seed, because when you plant that seed, that thought will grow.
I agree.
Okay, so don't miss that opportunity to close that sale, until it closes. Right, we wanna keep closing.
What I've come to find by doing that for them is that, like, I brought buyers or people who came to the open house, like leads and everything, but they weren't interested in the property, but you know, I still showed them, like, look at all these people who signed, and I kept
Right.
following up consistently. At the end of the day, they were still unloyal, like. I
The
didn't
for
find-
sale by owner?
Yeah, or still try to sell it on their own.
Right, and sometimes it just takes time. They're just gonna keep going, and if you keep doing it for them and you keep showing how many people are interested, that could reinforce their belief that they could do this on their own. Look at how many people love my house, you're just not the right person to get them to buy it. I can do a better job than you. So that's a balance, right? That's kind of this weird psychology that we have to make sure that they're aware. They came and they saw the house, yet this house wasn't a good fit for them. So we will find the right person. The reason we're getting all these people through the house is through the efforts that I'm undertaking to get them in the home.
Right.
So, you know, Mr. and Mrs. for sale by owner, first thing you want to do is get back to, don't we want to get to motivation? Right? We learned about that. We say we need to get to motivation. Why are you selling your home in the first place? Where are you going to move when you sell your home? How important is that to you? When do you need to be there? If you ask those questions, you get to motivation. And then when you find out, man, you know, we're retiring, we have a motorhome, and whenever we sell this house for the money our price, then we'll travel. Well, you don't have a motivated buyer until you can say to them, so how long are you gonna wait to take the opportunity to get in the motorhome and travel? You know, none of us know how much time we have. So you don't have an unlimited amount of time. None of us do. We are certain of one thing, that we don't have an unlimited amount of time. None of us are immortal. So at what point do you want to start living your life and going on vacation, and getting in your motorhome and traveling and fulfilling your dream? Rather than being tied down to this house and keep paying for the operating expenses, the mortgage and the maintenance and all the other upkeep and the things that are related to it. Wouldn't it be better to invest that money in enjoying your life? So you're holding out for how much more? You're trying to save what, 6%? And it's really 3%, because you're gonna, the buyer that's gonna come is gonna split that with you. So by the time you get done, what are you saving versus the life that you can live? It's the questions that we have to ask. Keep asking questions, uncover their motivation. And it's not necessarily about loyalty, right? We hear that a lot about buyers. Buyers are liars. Do we hear that? Do we hear that? Is that really true? No, buyers are just uninformed, they're uneducated. When we educate them, then they're not. Then when we ask the right questions, they're not liars, we just didn't ask the right questions. It's our fault. We have to ask questions. Same thing with for sale by owners. Ask questions, uncover their motivation. So what other activities? We got some operate open houses, we got Dunkin' Donuts, get a little more aggressive, get more assertive. I don't like the word aggressive, assertive. Be a little bit more assertive about having conversations with people. 1 out of 10 people in that room need you. They just don't know it yet. And you want to connect with them. Just have the conversation. Your realtor is it. Right? I am your realtor. You just don't know it yet. Have the conversation. Who else has been doing lead gen activities? So you've been doing some because you've been holding open houses for sale by owners?
I have.
And?
I
You
just,
have?
yeah, I don't do it anymore.
You don't do it anymore. Why?
I feel like it takes a lot of effort and just haven't really gotten the result, but I guess it's not doing, well, not I guess, I know it's not doing, by doing it consistently, where I haven't gotten the results.
Right?
So I switched it over to like going back to making phone calls and door knocking and trying to do all these different things, which
Mm-hmm. Okay, and?
And my biggest problem is not following up on a consistent basis. And like, I have all these leads and then I wait months to contact them, and when I finally remember, oh, their house is sold, or it's already on the property, or whatever.
So what are you doing to track your leads?
I used a bold sheet
Mm-hmm.
to put.
Okay. So are you familiar with this thing we call CGI?
Yes.
Career Growth Initiative, right? And if you go into the CGI, if you go into that in KW Connect and you scroll down, there's a pipeline report. And you can download that. It's a spreadsheet and it's got a tab on the bottom, one for buyers, one for sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Fill that in and that'll help you keep track of everybody you can put next activity. And then you can rank them, and at least you've got them in one place.
Right.
Because I found that for me, if I do not get everything in one place, I tend to misplace them, right? Use a journal, and that journal is everything goes in the journal. Don't write little notes, and I'm bad about that. I get little stickies, and my stickies start to have stickies. When I know that I have stickies attached to stickies to remind me to do something, I'm out of control. I need to stop and reboot. I need to recapture. Yeah, exactly like that. When that starts to happen, I know I'm in trouble. So I'd have a conversation with my coach about organizing my systems. Now there is an MREA course, lead tracking and follow-up, and I'll be teaching it, I think, in my office up in Palm Beach Central, maybe in June, where I'm trying to figure out the dates as to when I'm going to teach that. The MREA Lead Tracking Follow-Up course is a great class for that purpose, because it helps get all the pieces together.
What is your training website there?
Actually, we're using the KW system. We're inside Keller Williams, inside the intranet, and our market center should show up in there, because I make those as public.
The market center is
Palm Beach Central, number 73. and our calendar should show up, because when the training activities I do, I make sure they're public.
Do they have a direct website for that or no?
You know, that's a great question. Remind me, and what I'll do is I can also make sure that you guys get a copy of the training calendar.
That would be great, because where would we even look for that in our system?
It's in, if you go into my KW.
Yeah,
There's the intranet,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll have the calendar, training calendar.
right. So when you click on the training calendar.
Yeah, but for here.
Well, you can also, when you
And
look at the
go-
calendar, you can also, there's a button, click Market Center, Regional, National.
Oh, okay,
And then,
that's where-
and if you look at them, the ones that are made public, they all show up. So you can get a list of what's there. So the courses I'm teaching that I make public show up on there.
Oh, okay.
But what I'll do is I'll work on getting you guys our training calendar. That way you'll be able to see it, I'll share it with you. So, that's again, because it's great to be able to go meet new people too, right? Fantastic. All right, so we've got we've talked about what lead generation activities we've done, some of the things that have worked, and we certainly talked about what's difficult about them, right? So we know consistency, follow-up, that's a challenge. We know that, we're having scripts, we just need to have more, right? Need to have more conversations, be more assertive about what I can do to help you, right? Need to open more inventory opportunities, right? More assertive, right? I mean, you're putting yourself out there, just more assertive. Right? You're working on your programs, right? And pull together some allied resources that can help you with that too, because that'll provide more support, right, to open those doors.
More consistency.
More consistency. Consistency in what?
Make my phone calls 3 hours a day.
Okay. Is it always about making phone calls?
No.
Because I have that conversation a lot. People say to me, you don't simply called making calls. Is it always about calls?
No.
It's about what?
Follow-ups.
Okay, follow up, right? So we lead generate in the morning, and the lead generation is the things that we've talked about. So making phone calls to whom? Who are you calling?
Mostly expires, but FISBOs as well.
Okay, how many people are in your database?
About 150,
How many should be in your database?
500.
How many should be in your database?
216.
1,920. That's the millionaire database. So you want to grow, and that number is going to change in MREA too. I don't know the stats yet. 1,920. And we're actually going to talk about that a little bit. And it's in the, and if you go in, and everybody has a copy of the MREA, I'm assuming, the red book. When you're at even if you don't, when you're at a KW class, say yes, and then go get one, right? If you don't have it, go get one. And if you're in a KW class and they say, have you read the MREA, say yes, and then go read it.
Yours looks like the Bible.
Mine has been, you can tell that mine has been read, right?
Yeah.
I use mine, I talk to this one a lot, I use this often, because they teach from this in Harvard at Harvard and Stanford. I use it in teaching my business courses. I teach at the university, I actually use these models, I talk about these models, because the leads, listings, and leverage, the three-legged stool of Keller Williams, applies to any business. You just have to understand what the listings are.
Yeah.
The listings are the lead measure. If you have listings, then that tells you how much money you're gonna make. It's the lead measure. It's like driving by looking out the windshield of the car, right? If we look at what we closed, that's like driving by looking at your rear view mirror, because that's what you did in the past. Listings tell us what's gonna happen in the future. And our drive to listings is our number of appointments, right? We're gonna fill the funnel. And the way we fill the funnel is generating more leads. So the lead generation model is on page 133 in the book. And then if you look at page 137, it actually gives you your target. And it looks like, take off my little sticky, it looks like this. So your target, and in the lead tracking course, we actually tell you what goes in where. And your core advocates, that inner circle has 5 people. Those are the those are the people that help you build your business the most. Your core advocates. So we want to build our database so that we talk to those people. Your database is the value of your business. So if you don't have 200, 300, 400, 500, we need to be doing what?
More lead generation.
Lead generation.
To do what?
Feed the database.
Feed the database, right? Because it's your business. Your business is your database. And when you feed your database, in Ignite, what do we do? What are the activities? It's called what? In Ignite? The daily,
Daily,
10, 10, 10, 10 something.
10, 10, 10 something, right? 10, 10, 10, 10 something is what?
Contacts, 10 to the database, and 10 notes,
And 10,
preview.
10 previews, right? So that's the daily 10 core. If you apply the daily 10 core, right, you're building your database, 10 people at a time, right? 200 days, 2,000 people. It's funny how this all works, isn't it? Isn't it amazing how this all kind of connects together? 3 hours of lead generation, 200 hours, that, gets us, that gets us 600 hours of lead generation. We can build our database to 2,000 people if we're consistent about it, if we're having conversations and collecting information. Once you have 2,000 people in your database and you launched your campaigns and you've done the thing and you're making the phone calls, none of these conversations will happen. In fact, you guys will all be on a mega panel and I'm gonna be sitting there saying, I remember when? That's what's gonna happen when you do this. So what are you gonna do next, the next 24 hours? What are you gonna do? Specific activity, what are you gonna do? Give me a specific activity. And write it down in paragraph, in line 4, that box, that fourth box there. What's the activity you're going to go do? One action. Because when you come to class, we get lots of information, people write notes, and I see lots of scribbling. You gotta figure out what's the one thing you're gonna do. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? What's the one thing I can do for my lead generation activities such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? It's a focusing question in the one thing. And which is the last part, actually it's funny, the last part of the MREA is the foundation of the one thing. A lot of the same tools. Fascinating how this all comes together. Right? So write that down. Right? So let's keep moving because we've spent a lot of time on this and we've covered a lot of the pieces already. I want to keep moving and let's get into some lead generation prospecting tools and things that we can do, right? Okay, that's why we're all here. Make more money. Okay. So we're going to go through this pieces puzzle of prospecting. We're going to talk about how to prospect and connect, overcoming a limited mindset. We don't have a limited mindset in here. We just have other opportunities that we have not yet uncovered. So we're going to uncover those opportunities, right? We're going to work on our daily routine, tracking and accountability. It's amazing, we've uncovered some of these already, and then we're going to put it all together. All right. So we've done that activity. So let's talk about this process, right? So this is the way 3612.3 is built. And you start with this idea of the power of one, which is your big why, and the power of the focus on the one thing. So we start with that. Then from there, we develop our validity and positioning statement, which is essential to being able to talk about who we are. Now, does anybody in here feel like you don't know enough yet? Okay. And you all want to be experts, right? You want to be an expert before you do it? No? Good. Okay, all right. Because guess what the truth is? That mastery is a journey, right? The difference between a white belt and a black belt is what?
Practice.
Practice. Yeah, lots and lots of practice. You know how long it takes to become a black belt?
No.
How long?
Couple of years.
2 years.
10 years.
What?
In most true styles of martial arts, it takes 10 years, 10,000 hours. It took me 10 years to become a black belt. It took me 2 more years to become a second-degree black belt. And when I became a black belt, my sensei, my instructor, said to me, when he handed me my belt, he said, now you'll be able to start learning. So that's a true statement. That the difference between a white belt and a black belt is that a white belt just doesn't have the experience. They don't have the practice. Black belts have the practice. And they invest time on the journey to mastery, but yet, even you hit black belt level, you're not at mastery, you're on the journey. Right? So we're not gonna be experts, because we're never experts, because real estate is an ever-changing environment. The market's changing, we have all these interwoven parts. And even I have said, I've been in this business for more than 20 years. I've done commercial real estate, I've done residential real estate, I've run brokerage companies, I've done trade, you know, you can list a litany of stuff. And I say this, and as the words come out of my mouth, I realize I shouldn't be saying it, but I said, there's really nothing that you can do in a real estate transaction that I haven't seen before, and as soon as I say that, somebody walks through the door and says, hey, I got a thing I've never seen, you know, I don't know what to do about this. And I said, I look at it and say, how did you find this? This is like the oddest thing I've ever seen. So I always get proven that I don't know everything about real estate, that there's always something new. Because it's so many moving parts. Yet we know one thing is true, under all is the land. And that's all we need to know. Under all is the land, and it's our job to protect the ownership of it and make sure that it's done correctly and be moral and ethical and legal. And if we can do that, we're all valid because we got here into this room, we all took the real estate course, we passed the exam, right? We went and took the state exam, and we're all here. For whatever reason and whatever our background is, we're here in this room, and we bring that experience to the table. All of our experiences before bring us to where we are now. Right? We're the sum of every single choice we've made up until this moment, and all of those have brought us into this place. Right? And so we are all valid, yet we have to understand how to explain it. And that's what happens in this session 1, validity. So when you can download these manuals, you can go online and download them. So I would highly recommend you go back, if you have not done that session, go back and take a look at that. Write your validity and positioning statement. It will help you in your elevator speech to be able to tell people what you do. You know, people ask me what I do, and I say, well, you know, I'm a master productivity coach, and my job is to help real estate agents become great agents. My job is to help entrepreneurs be successful in running their business. So it was funny because I had a conversation with somebody I was thinking about listing your house, just, you know, I was gonna talk to so-and-so, but since you train people how to do this, maybe I ought to hire you. Really? That's fascinating. How'd you get to that conclusion? I didn't say that, but I was thinking, you know, didn't want to say that, that wouldn't be nice. Yeah, when you can do, yeah, it's true, because it distinguishes me, because when you, how many networking events do you go to and somebody says, what do you do? Hi, I'm Mike Horwitz, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
And you are?
I'm Lisa Maddox.
Hi Lisa, what do you do?
I am a real estate realtor.
You're a realtor, huh? Yeah, me too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's great, thanks, it was nice meeting you. I mean, right, is that what happens?
Well, I would go more.
You'd go more, and so you'd start talking more about it. You know, so we're both realtors.
Right.
So what if you'd introduce yourself to somebody who's not a realtor? You say, oh, you're a realtor. So is my brother. That's nice. How do we distinguish ourselves from other realtors is the question. And you do that by your validity and positioning statement. We want to distinguish ourselves. Because that goes to the prospecting piece. How do you describe yourself differently to the people we're talking to? How do you have the conversation? And you need to get that speech down to like seconds, because you only get one chance to make a first impression, right? You never get that second chance. It's not, very rarely do you get a second chance. So we want to be able to say, you know, talk about that. And then from there we go into prospecting. And prospecting, we build on that marketing database, and from there these become 6, 7, 8, 9 are the pillars of lead generation. And these are just the different activities that you can undertake. And it dives into more. These are 2 to 3 hour sessions. Then the top one is lead conversion, because we need to know our numbers, because if you don't know, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. If you don't know your numbers, then you can't increase it. You know, in Ignite, we say that we talk about 50% conversion ratios. That for one sale, you need 2 contracts. For 2 contracts, you need 4 listings. For 4 listings, you need 8 appointments. For 8 appointments, right, you need to talk to a couple hundred people. Yet, if you increase that, if you change your conversion rate to the number of people that sign agreements with you and the number of listing agreements that you get and the number of contracts, if you can improve that and you can improve the percentage of closing, just tweak each one a little bit. Instead of earning $100,000 a year and $700,000 a year doing the same amount of activities. You're creating, you're becoming more effective. You're doing your job better, you're learning your scripts, you're understanding, you're negotiating better, doing all those other things. And that's why the conversion rates are so important, and obviously finish off with, how do you now take this and live with it? So we're in prospecting. So prospecting is the foundation of the Keller-Williams model of how do we lead generate, because we lead with revenue. We lead with revenue. So what would make this a great experience for you today?
More confident.
Hmm?
I have more confidence by.
More
doing
confidence, okay. What else?
Yes.
New ideas.
Yeah, we're prospecting ideas, definitely.
What else?
I need more ideas.
More ideas, okay, so we need new and more.
More knowledge.
More knowledge. What else?
Lunch.
Lunch?
Oh.
We're gonna be done before lunch today, so. Sorry, but I didn't bring your lunch sponsor with me. How about, can I add one?
Thank you.
How about removing limiting beliefs? Can we do that too? Would that be okay?
Oh, yes,
Your
please.
elevator
Alright.
speech,
Excuse me?
like your elevator speech.
Like my elevator speech.
No, like you were just mentioning
Yep.
to add.
Well, right, and you'll, by finishing, working on what we do here, you'll get some scripts and things to do, and we'll talk about that, okay? Yet I do encourage you to go back into that prior session, download the manual, if it's not being taught in the Market Center, download the manual and go through that piece of building your validity and positioning statement. It's an exercise, and you can just work right through it.
Yeah, because I know when I do tell people that, oh, I'm a realtor. Oh, okay, that's great. The conversation doesn't even, I don't know, it doesn't get that far.
So what makes you special?
What makes me special?
What makes you special? What makes you different? What did you do before you got into real estate?
I was working for Ford.
Working for Ford.
Yeah, at a Ford dealership.
What did you do there?
It's called, concierge. Front
Okay.
desk. It's
Front desk?
work,
Okay, so
yeah.
what were your responsibilities?
Pretty much, it was considered a managerial position to look over the writers who were in service, the sales guys, be the eyes and the ears of the entire store, to be the greeter and make sure that everything runs smoothly throughout the entire buying process of.
Okay, that's fantastic. So how does that relate to real estate?
It's my job to make it easy for them to go through the buying and the selling process.
Okay, and to be
The eyes and the ears.
right, and to pull all the different
Oh.
pieces, right?
Together, yeah.
Together, right? That was your job there, so does that translate to real estate? So
Yeah.
could you describe yourself that way? I'm a real estate concierge. My job is to make it easy for my buyers and sellers to complete their transactions.
Boom.
Can you write that down? Gotta write that down. And the good news is it's being, if my phone didn't ring, it's still being recorded, and we might be able to find this as part of it, right? So see how when we just think about what we bring to the table and how we can take that and just apply what we've done, apply our experience, describe what we do differently, so that we can have a different conversation that opens the door. So lead generation and prospecting, okay? They are interactive and they're interconnected with each other. And in that regard, we look at being prospecting based. We've got marketing and prospecting. And lead generation takes both. You cannot actually do one without the other. It's prospecting plus marketing. And that's important to recognize, it's prospecting plus marketing. Because we are prospecting driven and marketing supported. We lead with revenue. So if we don't have money, then what do we have?
Time.
We have time, right? We have time. So prospecting reinforces our marketing opportunities. And if we don't have money, we have time. Because we really have three things. We have time, talent, and treasure. Right? We have three things. We have time, talent, and treasure. And how we use our time, how we manage our treasure, right? Time, talent, and treasure. So how well we use our time, how effective do we use the treasure that we have, and then what's our knowledge? How can we apply that? So we have three things. So right now we're building knowledge, and our treasure may be a little bit more limited, which drives people to come to this room, right? We want to put more money in our bank account. We want to build our treasury. So if we have limited amounts of money, then prospecting is less expensive than marketing. It costs less. Working with buyers costs less than working with sellers a little bit, because you're not spending money on photography and some of the other things that you need to do in order to do your job well, right? And that doesn't mean you got to hire doesn't mean you have to hire the most expensive photographer, yet you need those tools, right? So prospecting is the least expensive way to generate business. Okay? And then we want to be marketing supported. So when we can, one of the things that we do is we do flyers, we get those out to people, and then we follow up. We use those tools. They connect to each other. They help support each other. One without the other is really not going to help us truly be successful. Okay? Because prospecting is proactively finding people through phone and face-to-face contact. That's what we call prospecting. It's finding people through phone or face-to-face contact. That's how we describe it. And it's the most immediate and cost-effective way to build your business. So I'm going to give you a list of some prospecting tools, things that we can do. Okay? So prospecting includes calling for sale by owners, expired listings, past customers, meeting people by door-to-door canvassing, which we call door knocking, community events, and other organizations. So do we go to community events? Any of us go to events where there are other people?
I plan to,
Have you ever been to a concert?
yes.
Are there people there? Is that an event?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now one of the things I can tell you I'm bad about is timing. So if we need to take a break, if everybody, let me know and we'll stop, we'll take a break, we'll give everybody a few minutes. If not, I'll keep going. No, we're okay?
I'm good.
And if you need to, just get up and do what you need to do. So here's something that I love, and I use this quite often. Prospecting is a contact sport. Prospecting is a contact sport. The more contacts you make, the more business you will do. It's just that simple. Real estate is a contact sport. And the more contacts you make, the more business you do. It's that simple. I mean, it's literally that simple. The more conversations you have, the more business you will do. And you will get better at your conversations. Some of us are afraid to have conversations. We don't like to make calls. We don't want to talk to people. We're uncomfortable with that. We don't want to call people we know. The one I love is people say, no, I'll call for sale by owners and expireds, but I don't want to call the people I know because I'll feel uncomfortable. Because I'll feel like, what are they doing if we call people that we know?
Bothering me.
We think we're bothering them, and we also think what?
We're not good, you know?
So we're not good enough. Is that in our own minds or is that in theirs?
I don't
Okay,
know.
just curious.
Well, I think that they might think that I'm using them because I haven't had a conversation with them maybe
Yeah.
for X amount of years.
Okay.
And then I'm finally calling
All
them,
right, so
hey, I'm in
we're
real
gonna talk
estate.
about some of those scripts. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I haven't talked to them for a while, and then all of a sudden you're calling them, right? So you
Yeah.
show up out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Now you're an agent, now you want my business, you can call me for 10 years.
That's right. So, I think it was Adam Grant wrote Givers and Takers. And he was a keynote speaker at a family reunion a few years back, and he talked about that. And he said that people that we haven't talked to in a long time are excited to hear from us. They like hearing from us. It's just how do we deliver the message? So we'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, that is true. And I think part of also what I hear often said to me is that I feel like I'm being judged. They're judging me because I'm using a script and they're laughing and haha, that's funny because it sounds scripted and canned and all that other stuff. So, you know, we have to remember that we need to be prospecting. To get in this business, you need to be proactive, not reactive. You gotta go get leads. You are hunting. You are hunting. You know what the difference between hunting and fishing is, right? Or the difference between fishing and catching, right? When you fish, what do? You put bait in the water and you hope a fish comes and finds it, right?
Yeah.
So you go out in the ocean. I love this concept. You go out in the ocean. I don't know how many square miles there are, millions of square miles there are in the ocean. You get in this little tiny thing that floats. Anywhere between 18, 19, 20 feet up to 50 feet, doesn't matter, because it's still small, and you know, even a cruise ship is a spot on a satellite, right? And you throw a line off and you think something's gonna go eat your bait. And you wonder why you're not having dinner. Right? You gotta go fishing where the fish are, right? And you gotta go catching. So prospecting is being proactive, it's catching. It's not just fishing. Marketing is fishing. Yet we fish in the right pond. And we use the right bait. And sometimes we catch little tiny, that's fishing. That's catching, actually. That's catching. So yeah, when we do this with a personal approach, building personal relationships, we're communicating with people, offering valuable services. We're picking up the phone, we're sending something, we're letting the world know what we do is we're real estate agents and that we can help them. Because if you do not go tell people you are a real estate agent, you are a secret agent. And that may work for 007, yet it does not work for us. We cannot put out a shingle and assume the world is going to come flocking to our door. We have to go tell people that. We have to go ask for business. And we ask for business by coming from contribution and what we can do to help them. We come from contribution, right? We want to tell people that we can help them. Marketing, on the other hand, is different than prospecting because we're attracting leads. It's passive and indirect and can be costly. You can be proactive in getting your marketing designed, yet it's designed to reach a broader audience and tell people about you even when you're not around. So if you're prospecting based and marketing supported, it enhances what you do in your conversations, in your door knockings. When you door knock, you have a flyer. That flyer is the marketing piece. The door knocking is the proactive lead generation piece. So you'll leave the flyer with market statistics and talk about how you can help them because you want to build mind share. So you want to blend the two in order to create a great result. When you market them both, you're building your database, right? Because when you're door knocking to haven't met. They're people you have not met, right? So you door knock to them, and you build that, and now you've got people that you haven't met, you put them in your database, and you have now met them. You convert them from haven't mets to mets. Okay? So you want to do that, yet at the same time, what is so crucial, and many agents don't do, is they don't talk to the people they know. They're afraid to talk to the people they know, because, well, I'm bothering them. I'm using them. I'm taking advantage of them. I don't know what conversation to have. I'm embarrassed to talk to them. They won't respect me. I love that when someone said they won't respect me. I said, why? Because I'm a real estate agent. And I didn't know what to say. I had no words for that because I'm a real estate agent and I'm not embarrassed about it. I get a whole lot of respect from people. What I do? Build a successful business and close $100 million a year and then tell me they're not going to respect you. Do you think Jackie gets respect? Do you think she's embarrassed to tell people she's in real estate?
No.
Do you know other agents in this office that get respect? Right? They have all the trappings of success. They're surrounded by people that are helping them build their business, right? They're growing teams. So why are we embarrassed to talk to people about that?
Because they've seen me at that concert.
Okay.
And they know, they see you at your worst, and now they don't see you as the type of person you want them to see you as.
Ah, okay.
Well, for me, it's just, lack of confidence because of not knowing, a lot of, like, lack of knowledge also.
Lack of knowledge about,
The real estate industry. So, I mean, of course, you can tell them about, you know, how many houses are currently on the market and, months of inventory.
Okay.
But if they get into other specific,
so what do you need to know then?
what do I need to know?
What do you need to know? What do you think you need to know that you don't already?
I do get asked about, like, mortgage questions.
Okay.
I don't really know the interest rates, so
Okay.
That's one thing I need.
Is it your job to know interest rates?
No. Well,
Yes.
Are interest rates the same for everybody?
No.
So how could you know all the interest rates?
I
What's your
don't-
job to know?
A mortgage
Lender's phone
broker.
The lender's phone number, right? Sometimes it's know who, not know how. Sometimes it's just knowing who to call, and maybe you know a range. So you know right now rates are between 4.5 and 5.5. It depends on a lot of different factors.
Right.
How much you're putting down, you know, what's
Your
your
credit.
credit, what's your debt to income ratio. There's all these factors that come into interest rates. So you know I'm not an expert at that. That's a great question. What I'd love to do is have my lender contact you. Would that be okay? I have an amazing lender that I work with who will sit down. They'll have the conversation with you.
Yeah, you can always tell them that it, as he said, it differs. It's based on an individual, you know, whatever your situation is.
Yeah.
So you can.
I mean, I do mention like debt to income ratio.
And don't try to be the lender.
Okay.
Don't try, unless you are a mortgage lender, don't try to be the mortgage lender. And I know a fair amount about financing, yet I don't know enough to have that conversation and do the magic that my mortgage guys do. So I say, you know, I can give you a range, and it's driven by a lot of things. It's credit, capacity, and capability. But you know, the best thing for me, you know, it's about your income, your down payment, your assets, and the other pieces. So the best thing is for you to talk to my mortgage lender because he can tell you exactly, and he can help me help you. So so when would be a good time for him to call you? In fact, I'll tell you what. Let me call him and see if he's available right now. If I'm face to face, I'll say, let's see if we can get him on the phone. He can answer some questions. I call and say, here, you guys talk. And then in 15 minutes, I'm going to get a text message that's going to say thumbs up or maybe or you know let's talk more. And I'm going to then know what we've got to do, and that turns that buyer into an A, B, or C buyer, right? That A buyer, ready, able, thumbs up, whatever they want. Let's go. I get a thumbs up with a number, and that number is the sales price based upon how much money they're putting down, because he knows all that, right? So I get a thumbs up with a number, like okay, I got a hot buyer, right? Or maybe I get a B buyer that got some homework to do, not quite ready. Or I get a C buyer, there's a lot of homework to do. And C buyers can be buyers, right? And what else can C buyers do for you?
Bring in
Referrals. Right? So your A buyers are hot, ready to go. Your B buyers have a little bit of homework. That something needs to happen, and your C buyers have more homework to do, more things to do. So what we always want to do is talk to our database. See, if we're not talking to people that we know, that we have met, then we're missing a huge opportunity. If I have 500 people in my database, and I actually have 1,850 in my database right now, and I have 1,000 more to add. I just hired somebody to sit down and just type. Just to put them in, just to get them in there for me.
Wow.
And my database is on a 33 touch. There are 1,150 people that receive a regular message from me 33 times a year, including phone calls. And every time my message goes out, I get leads. It went out 2 days ago. Yesterday I got 2 leads.
A message like
Well, I think this one was the monthly newsletter that went out. Because either a monthly newsletter goes out, or a did you know goes out, or birthday, I have them all set up to go out and touch them at all the right times. I have to come up with a new word for that.
We're paying for for that to go out?
It's in E-Edge, it's free.
It's all free.
You're
It's
using
free,
E-Edge?
your campaign, yes, I use E-Edge.
Ah,
I use E-Edge, everything's loaded in E-Edge and all my campaigns are set up and it's free.
yeah.
And guess what, when Command is out and the new end-to-end system, it's gonna blow everybody else away and all the other lead gen systems and all the other stuff. You know, they're incorporating lots of cool pieces, I'm hearing inside things, I don't know all the answers, so I don't like to talk about them, because I don't know. It is, I think E-Edge is great, it's easy, I put it in there, you can set your tasks, you can set your follow-ups, you can set your campaigns, you can pick people for specific campaigns, buyer and seller, or past customer,
Is that solely by email though?
it's email.
Yeah.
It's email, and if you don't have email addresses, then you're either gonna make phone calls or send something out.
Mm-hmm.
If you get most of your, if you have phone numbers and don't have emails, is that an opportunity to have a contact?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm completing my database and, I wanna make sure that I can get in touch with you to share important information. I noticed, of all things, I don't have your email address. And while I've got you on the phone, I wanna make sure, let me have your mailing address too. How about your birthday? I just need month, I just need month and day, I don't need year unless you wanna tell me. Right? Anniversary, you could look up the date they bought their house if you helped them buy their house and put that in there too. And while I got you on the phone also, I wanna share my really cool Keller Williams app that will help you search for real estate anywhere in the country, except Maine. And it's got everything that's in the multiple
Why
listings.
not Maine?
I don't know, I don't even know if that's true, it was at one time. I had somebody that tried to use it in Maine, it didn't work, and I don't know why, I think it's probably a regulatory thing.
Yeah.
They can search real estate anywhere. Right, so you can get in front of them, because if they have your app, what happens?
Your contact info.
Your contact info is there in front of them all the time. And if you tell them to create an account on their mobile app, guess what that also does for you?
Contact,
What does it do?
email.
Yeah, where does it go?
You can see what
To
they're up there.
E-Edge.
they're looking at.
E-Edge, yes, if they create an account, it goes into E-Edge automatically for you as a new lead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Was you?
it's okay,
Yeah.
you were in midpoint, but when it comes back up.
Okay, so by the way, if that happens and I don't answer you in the moment, write it down and we'll answer anything that comes up. I promise you, I won't leave if I haven't answered all your questions. And if it's a question I can't answer, we'll find an answer for it. So contacting your database, prospecting, is the most important thing that you can do. When you are prospecting based and marketing enhanced, you just get more done. And the key is, when you're making the phone calls, all you're trying to do is get, when you talk to somebody, you're prospecting, you're looking for outcomes. What are the outcomes that you're looking for when you're prospecting? What are you hoping for?
Referrals?
A referral, okay, and what else?
It's business.
And business, right? You either want a lead or a referral.
Right.
And if it's not a lead or a referral, it's not a lost cause, it's a nurture. See, we forget that just having the conversation, if we don't get a lead, people say, well, yeah, I didn't get a lead or referral, I had a bad day. If you talk to 50 people, you nurtured 50 relationships. And they may not need you now, yet when they do, you've now created mind share.
I call it planting the seed.
You're just planting the seeds, and when you plant those seeds and you water them, the thought grows, and when that happens, then they are gonna reach out to you, right? So there actually is a company, it's called Sprouts, I haven't used them in a while. I used to I have my business cards printed by them, and they could plant the business cards, and my card said, I'm about growing relationships. And they could plant the business card, and it would grow a garden. You could send them out seasonally, so they got seasonal flowers. So it's a good excuse just to reach out to people. Send a little thank you note. Yes.
So if you don't have the email or the phone number, it's not really, it is a contact, but it cannot be added to the database.
If you don't have it, right, you can't add them to the database if you don't have a phone number or an email address, because you can't contact them. Now, maybe if I go stalk them on Facebook, right? Maybe you can find them on Facebook and add them as a Facebook contact and then send them a message. Say, I'm trying to just, I know we met, I wanna build out I'm trying to build out my contact list to make sure that I can communicate with you with things that are important.
I think the conversation gets harder, when you ask for personal information.
Is it really?
So,
You think so?
Yeah, like
So
I've
what is
gone-
that?
Like
What is that?
a limiting belief.
Yeah, okay, so we'll just remove that one, it's not true.
No.
So it's not true.
I think it's, okay, cause I've gone in public to just talk to people, right?
Uh-huh.
And I will ask them for business and I will ask them for referral, and it's comes as a contact for the day,
That's it, bold.
yes.
Okay, so you made the contact for the day, then what?
Right, but when it, like, I hardly ever ask for the phone number.
Why not?
I mean, if I'm meeting random strangers and if it's not like a 1 minute, 2 minute conversation,
So why would you ask for contact information?
I haven't used it.
So I wanna share my mobile app with you, I know you wanna be an informed real estate owner.
Yeah,
Right?
that if
So let me share my mobile app with you, what's your number?
Yeah, I have done that.
Okay, so did you get their phone number?
Yeah, but
Okay, so-
those are in situations like at my son's soccer games.
Why
those-
could you do that? Could you do that at Whole Foods?
I could, I just.
Do you?
I need to just get rid of them.
Okay, could you do that at Trader Joe's?
Yes.
So I'll tell you a story. I love to teach by telling stories. So, and I prospect everywhere I go, my antenna's always up. I'm always thinking about where's the opportunity. So I was in Trader Joe's and I was watching this woman walking around and she had 2 kids with her, young kids. And back then Trader Joe's had little flags on the kiddie carts. They don't have the flags anymore. I think it's because they was beating people up, they took them away. So the kids are running around with the little carts with the little flags on them, and they're filling up their little kiddie carts while mom is trying to shop, and I'm just watching the mom, and you can just imagine what's going on in her world, right? They're filling the carts, she's trying to shop, she's trying to empty their carts, and she's emptying their carts, they're refilling their carts. And this is going on through the whole store, and they're everywhere I go, down every aisle, so I was actually enjoying this. I was kind of, it's probably not appropriate, but I was kind of laughing about it, and I thought, okay, so mom's struggling with this thing, and I feel bad for mom, but she's really being very compassionate with her kids, and they're saying, and they're putting in the cart, she says, no, we really don't need that. That's like, I forgot, it was something that they put in the cart that she was never ever gonna use, it made no sense, but they thought the packaging was cute. So she gets the carts emptied, she gets to the checkout line, and she's right in front of me, and I just commented, I said, oh, you have such great helpers with you today. It's our little sarcasm, right? And she looked at me and with this frustration, and you could tell she was at this point drained, and she's, and I can't wait till vacation's over. Something, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, vacation. Who's on vacation now? Teachers. I said, oh, you must be a teacher. She says, yeah, how do you know? I said, well, my wife is a teacher. She's on vacation too. I said, where do you teach? Palm Beach Gardens Elementary. Oh, my wife is a teacher at Grove Park Elementary. How funny is that? Oh, I know people at Grove Park. Right? So we talk about her. So then she looks at me and says, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a master productivity coach. My job is to help real estate agents become great agents. So she says, oh, well, I'm a single mom and I want to buy a house. Can you help me? So I said, great, give me your phone number. She got a little awkward for a minute. I said, I commented to my wife, give me your phone number. Yes, I can help you. And I want to share my mobile app with you. And I'll tell you what, so what I'd like you to do, since you kind of sort of know where you want to live, drive around the area. When you see homes that you like, open up the app and it's going to tell you what available homes are around you. You see something, you like, click that button, it's going to contact me. And at the time I was working in the steward office, so she did that, and I connected her up with an agent in Palm Beach Gardens who helped her buy a house. Have conversation. Come from contribution. That's the thing we have to remember. This isn't hard. This is not rocket science. What this is learning our scripts and realizing that we are moving from E to P. Entrepreneurial is what you're doing, right? We're E. E is also easy. Keeps us in our comfort zone. We like it. It's what we do. What is purposeful? What happens when we're purposeful? We're proactive.
Results.
We get results. You have a goal, right? We're intentional about our activities, and purposeful sometimes is called painful because we have to change. We have to get out of this comfort zone that we're in, this circle, and we get out of the comfort zone and we get purposeful about what we do, and everything changes. We move from E to P, we put the models and the systems in place. So that's why I encourage you to make the effort, get your database and talk to everybody. Get their contact information, and say, well, I really don't wanna give it to you. Is it really? You know, what I wanna make sure that you do is get important information about what's going on in the real estate market. You do wanna be a smart real estate owner, don't you? Well, then great, give me your contact information so I can keep you informed. Well, I really don't wanna be bothered with a bunch of email. Also, I won't send you a lot of email, but I will send you things that might be important to you at the time. Do you see the benefit of receiving that, can't you? You went to Bold, didn't you? You studied tie downs also.
Yes.
Therefore, you understand how to ask those questions. Use the tie downs, ask the questions, overcome, you know, the objection is just what? What's an objection?
Oh, the too many emails.
Okay, but what is an objection in general?
Well, it's a resistance, like it.
And it is also
Opportunity.
it's an opportunity to answer
Oh, okay.
an objection is a question, just stated differently. So go for no. Because no doesn't mean no, no just means not now. So keep asking for that, right? Well, no, I'm really not giving, so explain to me, you know, I know you want to be a smart real estate owner, don't you? Well, of course. So one thing about buying a home, well, not now. Okay, so when? I'm not sure. So where do you live now? Well, I have an apartment. Okay, when's your lease up? In 6 months, okay. So in a couple months, you're probably gonna start looking. Now, have you ever thought about buying? I can't buy. How do you know? Have you talked to anybody? No. Okay, fantastic. So I'll tell you what, let me have your contact information. Just keep asking questions. Don't let up. Don't let up. The one thing that I watched some of the mega agent panels. Watch most of them actually. And I hear the same story. Every one of them tell exactly the same story. My son went, and my son is in the office also, and he went to one that I couldn't make it to. I said, "What'd you learn?" He said, the truth is, it's all exactly the same. It's the same thing I always heard. I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, they got in business, they didn't follow the model, they failed, they followed the model, they asked for business." I mean, that's pretty much, everybody's story pretty much looks like that. It's got different, you can weave them differently, and everybody hears them differently, yet that's really what we hear so often, is I didn't follow the model, then I learned how to follow the model, and I asked for business. The reason most of us don't succeed is we don't ask for business. So there's a script that I gave you, and it's on page 18, which is and I'm using the page numbers that are at the bottom, and they're in sequence. So it's at the bottom of page 18. It says prospecting reinforces marketing. Yes, thank you. You can sit at a table; it'll be easier for you. Okay. So the script right here, it says, "Good day, my name is Mike Horwitz and I'm in real estate. Did you receive the postcard I sent regarding your neighbor's home that is for sale? Do you know anyone who might be interested in this home? It would be my pleasure to provide the answer to any of your real estate questions." So that's a follow-up to marketing when you're doing prospecting. So this script right here is how we turn we turn marketing into a warm prospecting lead so we can actually have a conversation with them. So we talked about that need for prospecting, and prospecting being marketing supported. This is a way that we can make our marketing support our prospecting by making it a warm lead. So then could you do that with door knocking?
Yes.
Could you get phone numbers from Kohl's or other
Yes.
sources?
Yes.
And could you door knock and leave a flyer? And could you then follow up and say, I left a flyer with some valuable information on what's going on in the market. I wanted to see if you had any questions. I can answer any of your real estate questions. Well, no, I don't have any. Well, do you know anybody that might be thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Well, no, not right now. Well, now that I planted that seed, that thought's going to grow, and you are going to run into somebody, because we know people are always moving. So when you do, I want you to think of me. And then you send them a thank you note with your business card in it. Hey, it was really great talking to you. This sounds so much like your night, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right?
That's basics.
Basics. And then that creates this relationship, you're building a relationship, and it goes into your database, and our database is the value of our business. If you're not building a database, you don't value your business.
Can I ask a question?
You may.
Okay, thank you. It's on the lead thing and it's a segue. I've been working with this, well, I've known him for years pre-real estate license. There are a lot of properties in my town. And I went to go
And your
look.
town is?
Lake Worth.
Okay,
And he does a lot of rentals, but he self-rents.
okay,
So I had a client who was interested in property, so I looked at one of his. She didn't want it, but I saw an opportunity. So I texted, hey, Mark, you know, clients are finding your homes, and, you know, I gave him this whole spiel. So why don't you consider marketing it in a greater realm on the MLS and let me do something with you? I said, I know real estate agents approach you all the time. So I heard from him 2 days later, he called me, he's like, well, you know what, Annette, maybe I'll do one. He's got like
Mhm.
maybe
Okay.
I'll do one, here we are, maybe I'll do one. Maybe I'll do the blah, 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 that one. So, but then there was a lot of hubbub in the background, and then let me call you back in 20 minutes. Well, I haven't heard from him, it's been 2 days. I texted him and I, hey, let's catch up tomorrow. But in that conversation, there are two long-term agents with a organization downtown.
okay.
Oh, well, do you know so-and-so and so-and-so? Yeah, well, they're very well versed in the rentals in this area. So I'm like, okay, like, where are we going with this? You know what I mean? Like, where are we going with this?
All right,
So,
ahead.
so I was like, okay, and like, I didn't engage in that, I sort of just, went right over it. And that's when about 30 seconds later, he was working on one of his homes, so there was a lot of stuff going on, and somebody
Right.
came in the door, and I actually heard that in the background, he wasn't blowing
Okay.
me off. Now, let me call you back in 20 minutes.
okay,
Well, it's 2 days later. So I texted him that night, and he does get busy, but he's very reluctant for people. His agents approach him all the time.
well, I'm sure.
So here we are. And I texted him, hey, let's catch up tomorrow. Tomorrow came, I texted him, and I said, Mark, I put some thought into it. I have 2 properties I thought would be beneficial to market on MLS. And I haven't heard back from him.
Okay,
So here I am, he's going, well, so-and-so, been doing this forever, and I know so-and-so, they took one of my properties.
okay,
Keep in mind, I'm 4 month new, and these guys have been 30 years, so I'm trying to get my way in here.
all right.
So now what?
Congratulations.
Thank you, so
Okay.
now, this guy doesn't like to be pushed. Mark does not like to be pushed, he gets pushed all the time, so now what? I got a little crack in there.
Okay, so you got the crack, you opened the door,
Yes.
right? It's kind of like opening a pistachio or a walnut or something that, you've got, it's constant pressure. At the appropriate amount come from contribution. You're not bothering him, you're trying to help him. He mentioned the other people's names, so you can say, and you did business with them, so it sounds like you mentioned so-and-so's name, and it sounds like you might have some loyalty to them. Well, the truth is, you really don't have, the truth is, you should have loyalty to you, and hear what I can do to help you as well. They may have been in the business, be in the business for 30 years, I'm new in the business, and you're gonna get my full attention.
Well, and I'm the one who sort of
Right.
ignited it, opened up the
Okay.
door for him to consider.
Okay, so just, be assertive. Be assertive, not
So
aggressive.
I did, okay, so I
Be
texted him
assertive.
yesterday, is it okay to call him now? Hey, Mark.
Yeah, I'd call, is it okay? You talk to him, I'd be calling
Yeah,
him.
he called me, like, wow, he called, I was really
Okay,
surprised
I'd
when he
call.
called me.
I would call and I would open the conversation, I would try to, I would have my come from contribution script, I
Come from
wanna help you.
contribution, okay,
I wanna help you.
okay.
Well, so-and-so knows the market, so do I. There's nothing magic about knowing the market, we all know the market.
Nothing magical.
No, we all know the market, don't we? Nobody knows the market better than you.
Cause I was gonna come in and I thought, I'm like, no, don't do this, like, come on, give the girl a break. I was gonna sort
Well,
of take
say
that
that.
approach, I
Say
said,
that.
okay, yeah,
Say that.
alright.
So look, give me a break. You know, they've been in business 30 years, the truth is, nobody knows the market better than me.
Okay,
You just say, well, how do you know that? Because we all have access to exactly the same information, and the market changes from day to day. The market isn't stagnant. The market is dynamic. So if you know the market before you call him, you're the smartest person on the market in the moment about his needs.
okay,
So you want to be that expert in the moment,
okay.
because it's going to change tomorrow.
I'm sorry. You could use that to your advantage too, saying who do you think's gonna be more aggressive selling your home? Somebody with 30 years experience?
I know,
that's
I
probably
thought
driving
about
an
that
Infiniti?
too. And I'm like this lady up here, I have that little bit of the resistance. people know, like, I can go so far, but then there's certain parts of me that get scared.
Just let it go.
Okay.
And that's because we don't want to be judged, usually.
Okay.
We hold back because we're afraid that people are gonna judge us. You know, you gotta develop a little bit thicker skin and say, you know, it's okay, I don't care if they judge me. If they don't, if I sound stupid on the phone, oh well, I'll get smarter.
Okay.
You know, it's just the way it is. Am I always perfect when I'm in front of the training room? No. Do I make mistakes? Yeah. Do I come back? Do I give up? No. We fail when what?
We tried.
We fail when we
Don't try.
When we don't try.
try. Otherwise, otherwise
yeah.
we're learning, right? We fail when we quit. Otherwise, it's a learning opportunity. So you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. So on the next exercise that I've got for you, I want you to fill in, and this is a quick exercise. This will only take just a minute or two. I want to fit, well, for daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, how much time are you devoting to prospecting in hours and minutes? Just fill that in. Fill it in. Page 20, just write on the paper. For those of you who don't like to write on the paper anyway. You can print more copies if you want nice clean ones. It says page 20 on the bottom, because I pulled them out of the manual rather than do the whole manual.
Alrighty, moment of truth here.
Yeah. Let's see how I'm doing here on my video. I'm recording
Oh,
this.
I'm sure it's fantastic.
Well, it's still, I'm gonna fall over and then it won't matter. No, we're still going. Good.
Oh my goodness.
I know, hard questions, right?
Yes, yeah.
How much time are we spending? And are we spending marketing money too? How much marketing money are you spending daily, weekly, monthly, yearly? If any, could be zero. There's no judgment in this, it just is. I'm asking for facts. I'm not asking you to make stuff up and tell me what you think I want to hear. Because it doesn't help me. This is for you to be honest with you. This is a learning opportunity. Be honest with yourself. Just be honest. Okay. Write down your aha. Or if you got an aha from this, write it down.
Gosh, I mean, it's just huge.
And one of the things I also want to encourage you to do with those ahas is that if somebody says something that we're in during the day, write it down, take like the inside cover of the first page and make that your list of ahas. If somebody says something that triggers you, write it down too. That way accumulate your ahas. Dick Dillingham, who's the Dean of Faculty at KW, says we should be cool, keen observers of life. And you know, Dick captures ahas from every training session he goes to, and he actually will share them. He'll share them with the training team every once in a while. He'll send them out, and it's pages and pages and pages of stuff. So accumulate these, because these are the things that they're going to trigger for you to help you do better. So accumulate your ahas. Okay? Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt your exercise. So don't overthink it. You know what this looks like. I mean, you know how many hours you're spending a day, week, month, year? I mean, you know that, and if you don't, you will now. And how much money you're spending on marketing. If you need a calculator, that means you're spending a lot of time.
No,
You're
I
just trying to
wasn't
add it all up.
calculating, I was getting ready to text Mark, is what I was getting ready to
No, there are no real estate emergencies. We'll do this now, because you'll text Mark, then you'll wind up on the phone and you'll miss all of this. And then you'll miss the important script you need to have to be able to close Mark. So I don't want you to get distracted. It's easy to get distracted with our social media stuff, right? You know, our number one addiction is in the United States now? It's no longer alcohol, it's no longer drugs and alcohol and sex.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Facebook and our battery-powered friends, right? They buzz, they flash, they beep, and they connect, they reward us. They're like slot machines, and they're an addiction. They're now in the DSM. They're actually it's a disease. It's a disease.
Well, as a person who was in that field as a social worker, they'll make anything up to put in the DSM.
Well, this is a disease.
Yeah,
And if you go out and you go to dinner, go out and watch people.
Mhm.
You see
It is.
a
I'm
family,
guilty
and
party.
you'll see a family of 4 or 5, and 3 or 4 of them are on Facebook or on their phone or tweeting or Instagramming or whatever, the Snapchatting or whatever they're doing in the moment, right? Whatever the cool thing is, it's an addiction. We check our phones 150 times a day. That's every 6.9 minutes of our waking hours. If my phone buzzes, you're all gonna see if you have a text message. We're triggered by that now. If somebody else's phone buzzes, I know if yours buzzes, I'm gonna look for my phone, and my phone's over there on the tripod. Right? So we have to be aware that that's a real distraction. And we also have to teach our clients to understand that's part of this setting expectations thing when we're having conversations. It goes back to the root of all unhappiness is unmet expectations. You have expectations around that for yourself and for others. So let's talk about our activity. What did we learn? There was not at least one aha. So what did you find from this?
That I've been reactive and marketing based
Ah,
and not properly prospecting.
okay, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. What else? Did we learn anything else? We're working on this activity right here.
Need to put myself more out there.
Excuse me?
So need to put myself out there.
Need to put yourself out there at all or more?
Just more.
More. How much more?
3 hours more.
What is more? What is more?
Another good 2 hours.
2 hours, how often?
Mm-hmm.
How often?
Like every day.
Every day, okay. Why am I pushing you for that to get an answer on this? Why do I want you to tell me? I said this earlier.
Specific goal.
Right, there's specific goals, they're specific, measurable, they're achievable, right? They're realistic and they're time sensitive. If we're gonna set goals, they need to be SMART goals. And they need to be specific and they need to be measurable and we need to be able to be held accountable to them. And they need a timeline because a goal without a timeline is really a dream.
Right.
A goal without a time is a dream. So we turn a dream into a goal, we put a deadline on it, we put time on it. So when we can be held accountable, right? So there's how many people in this room? And they're all gonna ask you how many hours you spend every day now. They're saying, you spend at least 2 more hours. Right, they're all right, you all have permission to hold her accountable when you see her. Say, so, you spent 2 hours yesterday, and what's your answer gonna be?
Yes.
How much do you spend now?
It's like 1.5 hours.
Oh, so you wanna do 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you wanna, so you're,
What
and so now it's gonna be, so we'll talk more about where you're gonna do it. And that'll be a key question to us, where are you gonna do it? Okay, who else got something from this? One more. Let's take one more.
Analysis paralysis.
And now, tell me more about that.
I have so many ideas and I don't know which one to focus on. And so it looks like I've been focusing on the marketing.
So pick one prospecting activity to focus on and start doing it. Pick one. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being honest. So there are some myths and truths. You know, in KW, we call these myth understandings, right? These are myths. So some of the myths are that prospecting is cold calling and therefore it's rejection. Yet the truth is that it's meeting people and building purposeful business relationships. That's prospecting. We're meeting people, we're building purposeful business relationships, which ultimately leads us to a strong real estate business. Don't look at prospecting as being rejected, look at it as the opportunity to build relationships. That prospecting means contacting people you don't know, that's called cold calling, right? You You don't have to do that. It means contacting people you know as well as people you don't. It's a blend, it's a combination. You're gonna meet people all the time that you don't know. I mean, you go to the gas station, wherever you are, you can meet people, right? Door knocking and all those other opportunities, yet you should talk to the people you do know, because the people you know are a great source of business. They're your primary source of business. 2 in 12, 1 in 6. 1 in 6. So the 2 in 12, 1 lead, 1 referral. The people that we know. Prospecting is what you do to launch your business. Only new agents have to prospect.
No,
No.
That is absolutely not true, right?
no.
Prospecting is what you do to keep the engine running. It's the fuel. You never stop prospecting, because if you stop prospecting, the engine runs out of gas. You always need leads. Leads are what feed your engine, and prospecting is how you get leads. So here's interesting, some stats. 22% of people they use agents. 22% of sellers already have agents when you're prospecting. But only 12% of buyers.
Wow.
So there's some benefits, aren't there?
Yeah.
There's a great, do you see opportunity there?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So yet we say, well, no, everybody's got an agent, right? Everybody is a real estate agent, everybody has an agent. There's only 200,000 real estate agents in Florida. There's 1.4 million people living in Palm Beach County alone. There are like 8 million people between here and Miami, and there's 200,000 real estate agents. Do you think that there are enough agents?
Huh.
It just feels like it, right?
All the deals that I just did recently were all from neglectful agents prior to me.
Ah, how fascinating is that?
They're all, one guy said the guy was not getting back to me, and that you were persistent, so I bought.
How
I did
fascinating
both
is
sides.
that,
Another
right?
guy met in a pizza parlor, he said, and he told me the story, he said, I went downtown, I was looking for somebody, they shunned me out of the office, he said, you met me in the pizza parlor? And I went with you. They're all
So where do
because
you,
the people.
okay, so that tells it, where do you meet people, and then what do? You meet them, you talk to them, you have a conversation, and you do business because other people neglected them, and they didn't follow up and
Yeah.
didn't do what they had to do. So think about it, thank you for sharing that. So look at this, look at this, the graphic that's on the screen now, this chart, okay? People, they use the agent that contacted them 4% of the time. 40% of the time they use somebody that was referred. For buyers, 38% for sellers. Use the same agent as before, buyers and sellers. Now for buyers to only use the same agent that they used before, 12%, that is awful. Sellers, I can understand that some of those sellers moved out of the area, so that affects the stat, right? They wouldn't use you again, yet they could recommend you to somebody else. But buyers, the fact that they don't use agents again, that's just an awful stat. That means 88% of the time that they're not using you again. That's a huge opportunity for you in 2 things. One is to do great business and deliver great service so that you can build that number for you personally. I had about a 90% repeat rate.
Wow.
And not only can you build the business, but it also, look at what the opportunity is to talk to buyers when buyers are looking, and get buyer broker agreements so they are working exclusively with you, so that you do have a relationship with them and you've clarified that. Look at that opportunity to prospect to go find those people. Then you have to uncover inventory,
Huh.
right? So this prospecting idea right here, these are haven't met, so these are people you don't know. Mets are people you do know, and ask them for referrals, and your past customers, ask them for repeat business. Now, when should you ask a customer for business, for a referral?
All the time.
Always.
Always. When you close?
No.
All throughout the transaction.
All throughout the transaction, you should be asking them. Because when they're engaged in a transaction, what are they doing? Think about this for just a moment. When somebody's buying a house, what are they talking about?
Their friends and family.
Their house.
What else are they talking about?
Real estate in general.
They're talking about real estate, they're talking about buying a house, they're talking about redoing the floor, they're talking about their house. They have a house on the brain, that's all they can think of. They go to sleep at night with a picture of their home. That's all they talk about. They're talking to their friends and family and everything. So is that a perfect time to say, hey, who else do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, it also means that you have to make sure the transaction is going smoothly, so you have to deliver great customer service. It's gotta be a great experience. It's not just customer service, it's deliver a great customer experience. Make sure that, and then ask for business throughout. That's prospecting, you know? That is prospecting. When we ask current clients for business, that's prospecting. So, you know, prospecting is not just, you know, we kind of think it's just cold calling. It's not. All business, asking for business. Okay? So here's some ways to prospect. First of all, here's some benefits to prospecting, right? It's inexpensive and can yield immediate results. You can meet somebody in the pizza parlor. You can meet somebody in Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. You can meet somebody door knocking. You control how you fill your pipeline, and it increases your confidence and skill. How does it do that?
Yeah.
Practice, right? You get rejected, you get better, your scripts get better, you keep doing it. You learn how to say, some will, some won't, so what? You know, I could play my favorite song for you, but my phone is busy. Let it go, right? People say no, let it go, let it go. I will sing for you also. It also yields quality and quantity leads. It gives you a lot of leads, and from the lot of leads, you can uncover the quality inside the quantity. And you can categorize them into A's, B's, and C's. And then figure out what my next follow-up step is. Your biggest problem should be, I have so many people to call, I don't know who to call first. That should be your biggest problem in your life right now, right? I have so many people to call, I don't know who to call first. And we have to build that. And it also keeps you in touch with the market. And it keeps you ahead of the curve with the shifting market, so you see what's going on as the market shifts. You're ahead of that curve, so you're there. You're not sitting in the office waiting for something to happen, and then you wake up one day and say, oh, look, the market changed. And it changed and it left me behind. It's like when the tide goes out, right? Anybody go to Peanut Island on a boat?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not paying attention, and then what happens? You're waiting for the tide to come back in. Right? Or you can move the boat. You know, if you're paying attention, it's not a big deal to just kind of we'll give it a little bit more line and let it slide out a little further, and you're not the one that's on the sandbar. You can get to go home. So, what are the benefits of prospecting? Let's talk about this. Let's recap this. What are the benefits? It's actually on the bottom of the page handout, page 30. It says exercise at the top. What are the benefits of prospecting?
It's fast,
Okay,
immediate,
okay, fast, immediate. Write those, add this, right on the list. It's right there. It's the page right here. It says page 20 on it. Okay. So what are the so it's fast, it's immediate. What else?
You get an opportunity to get paid.
Opportunity to get paid. Okay, creating opportunities to get paid.
Get your name out there.
Get your name out there. Building mind share.
you control your pipeline.
You control your pipeline.
Get business.
You get business.
Build your database.
Build your database.
Right, meet somebody that becomes a friend.
Okay, meet somebody who becomes a friend, or you build friends. Okay? What else? What's it cost?
Inexpensive.
It's inexpensive, right? So if you have time, you're building talent, and you don't have a big bank account, it's a great way to enhance to grow your business, right? Because it's inexpensive. You're not investing a lot of money, you're investing time, you're building your experience, you're building talent, and you're building your business, you're building your pipeline. So prospecting is a great way to start what you're doing, and to keep doing it. So the 3 steps, let's talk about the 3 steps to prospecting. Okay, there are 3 steps. You knew we'd get to this, right? You were hoping we would? Okay. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna approach them. We're gonna approach and connect. So when we approach somebody, we're gonna be having these conversations with people. And so we're gonna find out, so here's what I'm gonna have you do. I'm gonna give you an activity right now. So one of you is gonna be an agent, so you're gonna work together. We're gonna pair up. One is the agent, the other is the customer. The agent is going to ask 5 questions to find out as much as you can about the customer. The customer is going to be cooperative, yet not totally forthcoming, so make them ask the questions. Alright? Don't answer more than you are asked. So the customer is gonna answer the questions, yet don't answer more than you are asked. The agent is gonna ask 5 questions, learn what they can about the customer. Alright, let's pair up. Everybody clear on the instructions? Okay, why don't you guys work together?
So the agent's gonna ask 5 questions?
You gotta go? Okay. Thank you. You know what I need you to do? Could you take 1 minute for me? I actually need this to go on, I need to be online, right?
Here.
I'll sit here with you.
I
Never
don't.
mind, place evaluation, all right, I'll leave this
Yes.
with Rosemary, so I don't disrupt you
Thank
anymore.
you. Okay, all right.
Good.
Okay, so you guys work together. You guys work together.
Okay.
Okay, so who's the customer, who's the agent? Decide who's the agent, who's the customer. You're gonna be the agent, okay, so who's the customer? Okay, so you're gonna observe,
Okay.
and I want you to just
Oh,
observe the role play and see if there's questions she could have asked.
All right.
Okay,
okay, so
some
where
stuff
are we
that she
meeting?
missed, okay, things that she could do better or different,
All right.
all
Are
right?
we setting a scene like we're meeting?
No,
at the
just, no,
supermarket,
okay, you
or
just wanna learn about them, you just run into them, you
Okay.
want them to be a customer.
Okay.
So find out, ask them questions.
All right.
Hi, my name is Kim. Hi, Tina. Hi, Tina, how are you? Oh, yeah.
Is a new customer,
Oh,
new customer, it's a potential customer,
oh,
Yeah.
potential customer. You gotta learn what your 5 questions,
Did you just move to? Okay.
you're learning about
I
them,
did, just about my own.
okay?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Potential customer.
Hi, how are you? Good. Good, good. How's your day going so far? Oh, so far so good. So far so good? Okay, awesome. Do you live in the area?
I do live right around the corner.
Oh, okay. What do you currently do? Student. Oh, you're a student, that's awesome.
College.
To be. At FIU? Oh, that's amazing. I just got admitted to FIU. I'm just in August. Oh, it's good. I like it. You like it? What are you currently majoring in?
Psychology.
Oh, psychology. What interests you about psychology?
The mind, how the mind works,
How the mind works.
how
Okay.
people interact with each other.
Okay, are you looking to become a psychologist and start your practice,
You like that so far?
start your own business?
5
or-
questions.
Like anywhere.
You've
gone more than
five
times.
So imagine if you, yeah.
I'm gonna go for my master's.
Yeah.
I can become a psychologist, yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I don't know, 7?
Yeah, I think that was more than 5.
5 questions. All right, change roles.
Are we gonna be customer?
Okay.
Yeah, you've been thinking about having an in-house for.
Is that an HP laptop?
It is.
Oh, cool, I got one like a year ago, and I was just wondering, if I made a good decision or not. Looks like did you like it?
I like it so far. Mine's touchscreen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It was an option that you found
Do you use it
something
for
that-
work or
It's just
school?
I pretty much use it for everything, work, school,
Why is it that you wanna move from your house now?
for leisure.
Oh, cool. Do you go to school or? Yeah.
I currently go to FIU.
Oh, nice.
It's communication.
Okay. Plus community? Okay.
So
Yeah.
if it took me
Oh,
more
nice.
than 5
Okay.
minutes
I
to
guess
get
the
to the
rules
point, is that bad
Your
or
turn.
not bad?
Yeah, sometimes, so you're looking
Okay.
for more freedom.
Ah.
Okay. All right. Well, what if you?
Both of you guys?
No, it doesn't matter.
Options,
Alright.
if you can find something.
Are you guys sisters?
Would you be considered?
Yes, we're twins.
You guys
And
live
then, so
here?
then you didn't get to the point.
I live in New York. She lives here.
All right, so change roles.
Oh, New York. You thinking about moving down here, being closer to your sister?
You're trying
Possibly,
to
I
shoot
mean,
a
I would
potential
love it out
customer.
here, but I can send you
You wanna uncover, so you wanna learn what you can about them.
5-year thought process and
What do you
you're
do for a
ready to
living?
move forward into something
For a
else.
living, I am actually a real estate agent
You
in New
wanna
York.
get to know them, you
Well,
wanna
I'm gonna take
uncover them.
information and I can send you a little bit about myself.
That's perfect.
and my
There's-
out.
You wanna
there's good
uncover
realtors down here.
what, so
What do you
so
think
the
about coming down? I'd love to
instructions,
meet with you and-
the instructions are
I'm excited.
to uncover, find out as much as you can about
Are
the
you a
potential
realtor?
I am a
customer.
realtor.
Oh, okay.
So if they're a potential customer,
I got some
5
bubbles there.
questions.
Okay, what I asked you at first.
Actually, I started with Pebbles and I left. So I learned the business and everything. It's a great company for sure.
Yeah, my office is great.
Like,
I'd love to,
okay.
maybe meet with you both and show you how I can get you in our office and help you find a home.
You completely neglected her. I told you she was living here.
But you're the one that was looking to move down here.
No, possibly.
Okay,
She would have been like,
My son's 13, so we're pretty much in the same.
Yeah, you looking to move?
No.
You wouldn't have to do it.
5 questions.
Looking to buy.
Oh, yeah,
Stay
well,
on
I've already
the-
closed her house. She's already bought her house.
And did you swap?
Yeah.
You would now ask her?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so when they're done, we'll debrief this, and then we're gonna move on, because there's a learning opportunity from this.
I do, can we step out for a second?
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
I really do.
So, you know, when they finish, we're gonna,
Well, not like I needed some permission, but.
I guess I'll be the agent again.
Of course.
Oh, we're doing it again?
Sam.
We're in Starbucks.
We're in Starbucks.
You're in Starbucks, and she's a potential customer. She's looking at a real estate magazine.
I'm looking at my husband. Bother me, I'm reading.
Hi, my name is Kiana. I just wanted to say that I absolutely love your earrings.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, and I noticed that are you into real estate? So you're looking at a real estate magazine?
Yeah, just curious every now and then what's going on in the area.
The area? You do find anything good so far?
Not really, it's mostly like general information. I'm really looking, my neighborhood, I'm nosy.
Okay, and how long have you lived?
Went there once.
Been there, about 6 years, I think, something like that, but, it's getting to be about time to maybe think about something else, and just,
Oh, awesome, so you're thinking about making a move?
I don't know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, I owe a lot of money. I don't know, I'm just nosy.
You're just noticing curious.
I don't think I'm actually gonna be able to move, but.
Okay, well,
That's the dream.
I'm actually a real estate concierge, and what I do is, my job is, as a real estate concierge, is to be the glue that keeps all the moving parts and the real estate transaction together. So if you'd like, I'd love to stop by and take a look at your property and just give you a quick market analysis and see how I can help you, get to your next trip.
You're not, you're being too easy actually. I'm like, wait, I'm here selling you now. How did we even get here?
I'll just stop by, come take a look at your
Okay,
property and
great.
tell you what I think.
Let's stop where we are. You just got into 5 questions.
Yes, I know.
You were gonna, I thought you were gonna miss it, but you got there in 5.
Oh, really?
You got there in 5, then you went into your elevator pitch, which was good, because you got to the 5. I probably, the one thing you didn't ask was, you said, how long have you lived in your area? You didn't ask her where she lived.
I know. Well, I said area and then I said neighborhood.
Well, you didn't ask where. Say,
Yeah.
where do you live?
Yeah.
Right? Where do you live? Oh, I love that area. I know that area really well. Right.
I think go home and look up that area.
Right now. I really know that area great. Right. That's what our devices are for. We know that area. Right? Okay, so how did you guys do? Do you think
She
5?
was pretty easy with me when
Right.
when I was the agent, but I wasn't as easy.
You weren't as easy? You were hard? Is that how you always are?
No, I wasn't hard, I just wasn't as forthcoming, like I would
Okay,
give a
so you're-
one-word answer, she.
Well, we both went way more than 5.
Way more than 5
To
though.
get to the point, it
Right.
took us a little longer
So
to
why
make
is
it
this
feel-
so why are we doing this exercise with 5 questions?
Because you're not gonna have a long time to talk to the person maybe?
Yeah, you don't, if you're gonna talk to 20 or 30 people a day, you can't spend a half an hour talking to each person. You've gotta be able to get to the core of what they need, how you can help them as quickly as possible and uncover their needs. Hey, I saw you were looking at real estate magazine. You think about buying, selling, investing?
Yes,
Fantastic. So which one of those?
selling and buying,
Selling and buying. So what are you gonna sell?
my villa,
Your villa, where do you live?
Delray.
Fantastic. So I really love the Delray market. I'd love to get an appointment to meet with you to do a valuation on your home to help you figure out what the best time to sell is. And from there, Then we can determine what you might wanna buy. Have you thought about where you're gonna move when you sell this?
No, not really, just somewhere bigger.
You're gonna stay in the area?
Yeah, I like to.
Fantastic, so I'd love to help you with that too. Just
Okay.
keep it simple, just get right to the point.
Where's the clothes? I thought you were gonna make it a point.
Well, yeah, that's next.
Yeah.
Okay, so I stopped, so, all right, so is today at 3 or tomorrow at 4 better for you?
Tomorrow 4.
Tomorrow at 4, perfect. Let me get your full address so I can do a little bit of research before I get there.
Okay.
Just ask the questions and don't worry about what are they gonna say. No, I'm not gonna talk to you. Great, okay. Next.
Not interesting.
I have, I think too that, when you know the script, not only the script, but the objections and how to handle it, you're so much,
Yeah.
like your confidence and you ooze the confidence. So that in itself, if you're hesitant about going out there and talking to people, knowing the script, it's just gonna push you out there. You're gonna wanna go out there.
So how do you fix that? So how do you do that?
Are we still doing script?
How do you script practice?
I think
Have a
so.
partner.
It's on the
Where do you do
job.
that?
Role-play.
Where do you do that?
Either on the phone
Or
in person.
where do you do that in person?
In the market center.
Right, in the office, right? Come to the office and script practice.
It's-
Come to the office and script practice, 8:30 every day,
And
come and
script
practice.
practice
Script
with
practice.
someone that's not easy. Like
No.
you're gonna throw objections at
Okay,
you.
well then, yes,
Ryan
you
will.
learn more. So the truth is also, when you're doing that, say to somebody, if they're throwing too many objections at you, the answer is, so I really wanna learn the script first. And I know it's
Right.
important to learn how to overcome objections, yet I need to learn the script. So let's go back and let's lighten it up just a little bit so I can practice the script. Then we can work on objections. Because if you start overcoming objections without knowing the script, and there's only one way to, and whenever you get an objection, you say, so besides not being ready to list your house right now, is there any other reason why I shouldn't come to your home to give you a market analysis?
Yes,
Thank you, and that is?
don't let strangers in my house.
Well, I'm not a stranger because you and I have been talking now for 15 minutes or so. You know, I'm licensed by the state of Florida. You know that I've
See
got a
this?
background
Like,
check
he's
and
blowing
know
me
my
away,
fingerprint.
like, I
I'm
really
really not a
don't.
stranger, am I? This is what I do for a living, so I'm not really a stranger. You and I may not know each other, and yet I do want to help you.
Okay, fine, yes.
Yeah, you'll get made in front of a strange doctor, but you don't want to.
Right, okay, yeah, right, yeah, okay. You made my point, thank you. You made my point, thank you, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we will do those things, and people will tell you all kinds of personal things, and they don't want to talk about this like money, right? They'll tell you really deep personal stuff before they'll talk about money, and you need to be able to learn how to overcome that. So the key to the right approach is to make sure that we're being proactive, number one. We're not waiting for people to come to us, like if we're at Dunkin' Donuts. Break the ice, just have the conversation. Break the ice, hi. Now some of us can't even get that out. Hi. And sometimes people will ignore you and sometimes they'll smile back, great. So be friendly, be caring, be real, be authentic, be real. Because people can tell when you're inauthentic, can't they?
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
this inauthenticity meter that goes, so be authentic. Actually goes that way for you. For me it goes this way, for you it goes that way. Right? Okay, be curious, find out about them. What's important to them? They're reading a real estate magazine. Why are you reading a real estate magazine? Well, there's nothing else to read. Do you own a house? No. You want to? Yeah. Okay, that's the starting point, right? Have the conversation. Give them positive feedback. Well, I heard the market's lousy. Well, I don't know about that. That's not what I'm hearing. Certainly not what we see. The market's amazing. Interest rates are going up. That's awful. Is it?
They're not near as
In
easy as they
1976, I bought a townhome. My interest rate was like 18.5%. So today at 5, it's cheap. Is it more than it was a year ago? Yeah. Is it gonna go up? Probably. The rest of this year, we don't know. So when's the best time to buy?
Now, before.
When's the best time to sell?
Yeah.
When you're ready.
Now. Now. Now's the best time. Now is the best time. Be confident. And I think that was a very important thing. Be confident in your posture, in your poise, in your pace. You know, overcome that objection, that fear that people are judging us. You know, you get that quiver in your voice because you're afraid to talk, let that go. Go to the bathroom and practice for a minute. Talk to yourself in the mirror if you're at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. Get over it, let it go, next. Just be willing to talk to people. And, you know, if you're not comfortable, if it's not your native language, practice the script. Get used to be, you know, say, you know, I want to practice my, I want to practice my English. Right? What's wrong with that? I want to practice my English with you. Would that be okay? Sure. So let me ask you a question. Do you know anybody that's thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? You're practicing. You're really practicing. Yeah, I am. I want to get better at this. Well, actually, I do. Be ready to connect, because connect is the next step. Approach, connect, and then after we connect, and in the manual I've got a couple of scripts, and we didn't print the whole manual for today because of the length of it. So it's just real simple. If it's in the neighborhood, you could say to somebody, hey, you know, I see you driving around in the neighborhood. We both live here. I live in a condo. I don't know all of my neighbors. They know my name. I don't know all of theirs. And yet I pass them in the parking lot and coming and going. And, you know, I've made it a point now of talking to more people. And especially I got annoyed when a friend of mine bought a unit upstairs because it was listed by another agent. And I knew the owner. I knew the owner. And another agent listed it. I was like, how do you do that? Because they made it a point to talk to people, right? So how about in a coffee shop? Hey, I couldn't help but notice you're reading a great book. Somebody's reading the new Patterson book. So it looks like you're reading the new Patterson book. How do you like it?
Pretty interesting.
Is it really? Why? Tell me about it.
Well, it's got a really good storyline.
Yeah? Okay, so what's the storyline?
I don't know.
Oh, well, you know, I met him, and he is such a cool guy. In fact, when he wrote one of his books, and my son is actually one of the chapters of a book he wrote. Yes, my son really is.
He's big down here, isn't he? He does a lot
Yeah,
of stuff
yeah.
in schools.
Yeah, he does, and he's a member of the Everglades Club, and my son was a valet there, and he got to know all of the people at the Everglades Club. And Patterson was there quite often, and my son was in his retired army, and he had done tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they talked about it a lot. And in one of his chapters in one of the books he's written, he doesn't name him, but yet it's about him. So he picks up stories from life, and then he writes these books, and he weaves it all together. It's a fascinating guy. Okay? So how about after a mailing? You say, hi, Fred. This is Mike Horwitz, Keller Williams Realty. Can I just take a minute of your time?
Sure.
So did you receive the postcard that I sent?
I did.
Great. So just wanted to find out if you had any real estate questions, anything I could answer for you.
I haven't had a chance to go over it.
Oh, you haven't. So would you like me to talk to you about it a little bit? Tell you what it says? Save you some time? Fantastic. So the market is amazing. We've sold 5 houses in that area in the last month, and prices are going up. Yet they're not going up quite as fast as they were, and we're thinking that it's time to sell. Have you considered taking the profit that you have in your home and maybe doing something else with that, buying a new home? Have you ever considered moving?
Not really. I'm pretty happy where it is.
Oh, you're pretty happy. So you're gonna stay there forever?
Well, not necessarily.
So where are you gonna go when you decide to move?
I don't know. We haven't thought.
You haven't thought about it? If you could go anywhere, where would it be?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Why Hawaii?
It was beautiful.
It's beautiful. So when would you like to be in Hawaii?
So we would love to, but we can't afford it
Well, how do you know?
because we have no money.
Well, if we sell your house and we take the profit from your home, could you buy a house in Hawaii maybe? I know some great agents in Hawaii. Would it help if I got some information for you?
Sure.
Fantastic. So I'd love to come by and see your house and meet with you, and then I can have an idea of what we might be able to sell your home for. Can I come by at 3 o'clock today or at 4 o'clock tomorrow? What's better for you?
3 o'clock today.
Fantastic. I'll see you then, and I'll come with the other agent's phone number.
Move to Hawaii.
I'm moving to Hawaii. She's moving to Hawaii, right? She didn't plan on going anywhere, and she's moving to Hawaii.
When I
right?
was for a gallon of milk.
Yeah, right now it would be moving, but real estate's cheap on the Big Island.
You
right
have
now.
it there and there's gonna be no lights on in the house.
Yeah. You know. So you can follow, see, when you do a mailing though, you could follow up. If you do a door knocking, you could do the same thing. I just want to call, I left some information for you. Okay. So connecting is about being a giver, coming from contribution. That's what connecting is really about, it's coming from contribution. Listen, offer information, you know, we take pride in what we do. Okay. We make commitments, we respond quickly. We give guidance, right? We're not withholding, we want to give guidance. and we're prepared. We're really prepared. We get on the phone, we know what we're gonna talk about, we have our information, we're prepared, and we wanna deliver great experience. We wanna come from contribution, we wanna give them a great experience. We're not bothering them, we're asking them to help us help others. In the Ignite script, in that remind them you're in real estate. You know, sorry I haven't stayed in touch as much as I'd like to. I've been really busy building my real estate career. Because you know, my goal is I wanna help 25 people realize their real estate dreams in this next 12 months. And you're one of the people I thought that could help me. Can I count on you? Right? What are they gonna say, no? They're gonna say yes. You're one of the people I thought that can help me. Can I count on you? Sure, what can I do? Well, so who do you know that I should know that might be thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? I wanna help them. And by the way, I wanna share my, and I wanna share my mobile app with you, and I wanna update my database, and I wanna stay in touch. And if they get off on these long conversations, they wanna get off talking about grandkids, the first thing I do is I say, listen, Howie, I'd love to talk to you a little bit more. I've gotta make a bunch more phone calls before noon today. I'd love to get together with you. How about if we meet next Thursday afternoon, 4 o'clock, Starbucks? We'll catch up. I'll buy you coffee. Or let's do lunch. I was fine when I break bread with people, I do business. Always. I do lunch, I do business. I have breakfast, I do business. I will go through my phone and I say, who do I need? And I have lunch with somebody once a week, and I have breakfast with somebody once a week. And I go through my phone and say, who have I not talked to? And I call attorneys that I know, and I call people who are involved in the community, civic leaders. Hey, we haven't talked in a while, let's do lunch, let's catch up. And I find out what they're doing. Because invariably they ask, well, so what are you doing? How can I help you? That's how I'm doing a gig with Florida Power and Light, because I met with somebody and he said, so, and we talked about him and what I could do to help. He said, so Mike, what can I do to help you? I said, here's what I'd like. He said, okay, great, done. Done, just like that. Use Ford. Use Ford to connect family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Ford. Use that to connect and ask open-ended questions about their life, what's important to them. You know, there's a quote, and it's been attributed to a number of different people, but the truth is people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. It's been attributed to John Maxwell, it's been attributed to a number of people. So it really doesn't matter.
I'm sorry, what was this family occupation?
Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Ford. There we go, Ford. And then what we want to do is ask, okay? We want to ask questions. We want to ask for business. We want to ask for that connection. Are you or someone else you know thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate in the near future? That's the ask for business. And you know what I find the number one challenge most agents have is they have conversations. They have great conversations with people, even those people in their database that they know, but they don't ask for business. They don't say, who do you know that I should know? They don't ask. And if you don't ask, do you think they're going to volunteer? And if you don't ask, then you know what happens is they don't think of you when that opportunity does come up. They don't ask. They don't think of you if you don't ask. You must ask for business. And then you have to ask for permission to follow up. You want to get the appointment. And always get their contact information. Always get their contact information. Then there are other ways to connect, right? You can call. You can visit, or you can go to open houses, right? So you can just call people. You can get in front of them. You just have to do it consistently. You get in front of people. You just keep calling. In fact, there's Mary Beth Harrison, who was with KW in Dallas. She said, I got all my clients from phone calls and hosting open houses. I didn't have a computer, so I kept track of them on a 3x5 card. And once you were one of my contacts, I called you and told me I could not call you again until you bought a house or until you died. I called you. And I have people who have passed away and they're in my database because I know them, or I know their spouse, or I know their friends, and we have a connection somehow. And it actually is noted that all my connection, my contacts are noted, how they're linked together. So I can see, so how do I know this person? Well, I know them through this and this and this. We have similar interests, we belong to the same clubs. So when I go someplace and they say, wow, it was horrible that so-and-so passed, I say, yeah, I know. Just happened the other day, that somebody I know just had a 58-year-old woman went out to walk her dog and didn't come home. Husband went looking for her, found her on the side of the road. So people stay in my database, and you know, and you could be morbid and say, all right, so Ron, when are you gonna sell the house? But I think that's a little premature, you know. So when you call, who to call, right? You can call expireds or sale by owners. Should you call referrals?
Yes.
Is that like the number one thing you should call?
Yes.
Right? Your referrals, because if they're referrals, you should be talking to them. Your database, you should be calling. Website inquiries and METs, of course, you need to be calling your METs. See, we meet people, we talk to them, and then we forget about them. So we know who to call, when to call, what to say, and then just be ready to call. So the who's are pretty straightforward. It's everybody, okay? When to call, if they're cold versus warm versus hot, if they're on the do not call list, okay? So if they are cold, then you're gonna call them using the contact system, and you're gonna talk to them 4 times a year. Because that's part of the 33 touches. We're gonna have 4 touches a year.
That last slide, can you go back to it real quick? Or is it in here?
It is not, but let me tell you where you can get this. Because we didn't download the entire manual, because Ryan and I talked about it, and I said we just pull out some pieces. If you go into Keller Williams University in my KW, in KW Connect, Keller Williams University, search for courses. This is MREA 3612-3, and you can download the entire student manual for all 12 sessions.
And what's the IVR?
IVR is interactive voice response, so you can get a text system, or you can get a voice system that captures the information.
Can I ask you a couple of practical things?
Sure.
My husband was in real estate years ago, he's back now. Is it okay to call previous customers that, hi, I'm back to real estate?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Hey, wanted to let you know I'm back in real estate. I took a little hiatus and I figured out I really love real estate, and I'm back building my business. And we'd had such a great experience before, I wanted to reconnect with you.
And also for sale by owners, is it unethical to go as I wanna preview your place? I might have a customer for you.
No, that's exactly the
And then
script.
try to.
No, to me, that's the script. So I'm not listing your home, I wanna come and preview your house because I may have a buyer. We'll bring your buyer. Well, I don't know if I have a buyer till I see your house, I wanna come and take a look at it. Because your home is in the area that I sell homes. Well, I don't wanna list my house with you, I understand, I'm not asking you to list my home, I just wanna come and see it. And then a week later, I follow up, hey, how's the sale going? Oh, you can't believe what's going on. Great, I can help you with that. Well, I'm not ready yet. Okay, a week later, how's that going? You're building a relationship.
Yeah.
If you think you're gonna nail it on the first one, you're probably gonna have the door shut in your face. Yet if you build a relationship and come from contribution, how you can help them, that's what, you know, we wanna be able to tell them, and you know, we do this in bold, and we have a number of scripts. When you go into Keller Williams University, there's also the MREA script book. There are 3 books, buyer, seller, and lead gen. And you can download those too. They're about 300 pages of scripts. So you have a for sale by owner script that you can use. You have several of them that you can go in and practice, and a lot of them are, hey, I wanna come and see your house.
Okay.
Yes?
We have a book, a script book in the market center.
Okay. Well, you can download those.
Thank you.
Get them for free. You can download them too. It's the same
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
So you can either use that or
Where do you download?
It's by,
it's in Keller
You know where the
Williams
bookshelf?
University
Yeah. It's in
under
there.
courses,
Yeah, so it's
MREA
Oh,
scripts.
that's what you were.
yeah,
Right,
print 'em out.
right. You can download all of them
Yeah.
from there. Okay. Now, there are, you know, the idea of when to
Give
call.
me a good copy, that's what I meant.
What I have found out is that when to call is one of those fuzzy things that I can't answer, and I don't think anybody can. When to call is, we have figured out that 9 to 11 seems to be best, yet I've had other people tell me that 7 to 9 in the evening is best. You know, people use cell phones, so you know, I get them on the phone, hey, not now, okay, when? And they say when, and I call them when. So they say 3 today is good, okay, perfect. Now, if you call them at 5 and they say 3 was good, now it's 5, now it's no good, call me tomorrow at 3, what are you gonna do?
Call tomorrow.
At when?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, right? Otherwise, they're gonna stop taking your call. If you make a commitment, keep it, right? Keep your commitment. You know, hot leads are the easiest ones we wanna connect with because they're ready now, right? Our warm leads, we need to spend time heating up, and our cold leads, we're gonna do the same thing, right? We just wanna increase the temperature a little bit. Create a sense of urgency. Now, do not call is always important because we don't wanna call people that are on the do not call list. There are all kinds of lawsuits going on about that. There's do not text, don't use mass texting either. But there's all kinds of lawsuits going on about do not call. So if you're getting your list out of Kohl's I believe is scrubbed. Double check that. I think Kohl's is scrubbed against do not call. There are some other lists that aren't scrubbed. So always check if you're calling people you don't know and haven't met, double check against your call, against the do not call list. So if you're just
How do you obtain a do not call?
do not call.gov is the, I believe is the website.
Oh, it's here, yeah.
Yeah, do not call.gov. Okay. I think I made it a point of giving you that one. Yeah, yeah, I wanted to make sure you saw that. Then you gotta practice your scripts. So, you know, some people just pray and meditate. Some people close the door, they clear their desk and get to work. Some people listen to music to get started. I do. And in fact, on the way down this morning, I watched the Michael Jackson thing on TV last night. So I got my, it was kind of nice. It was kind of cool. And of course, he sang Man in the Mirror. So this morning, on my way down, it's my ringtone on my phone. And so on my way down the car, it was playing. Not my ringtone, the song was playing because I had it on last night. So, you know, how cool is this? So, you know, right? If we want to make a change, right? We start with us.
Yeah.
We start, so it was kind of appropriate for me as I was thinking about it this morning. I'm here to create change. I'm here to help you see things differently, to change, to look in the mirror and see what I'm gonna do differently about building my business by prospecting, making my business prospecting based, realizing that real estate is a contact sport. The more contacts you make, the more business you're gonna do. It's just that simple. I mean, I can't distill it and make it any easier than that. People say to me, well, who should I call? How should I call? What should I say? You practice your scripts, you memorize your scripts, you internalize your scripts, and they come out automatically. Do I sound scripted to you?
No.
I am. I am, because I say those words the same way all the time. And I've said them so many times that they come out automatically. Do you think Johnny Depp is scripted?
Yeah.
What do they pay Johnny Depp to do? Act?
Read scripts.
Read scripts. They pay him to read scripts. You know what the script, you know what Johnny Depp's franchise of Pirates is worth, his piece? Want to venture a guess? Take a guess. Throw a number out there. Any number.
20 million.
5 million, 3
How much?
billion, 5 million,
How much?
20 million.
3 billion.
You know, a little lower than that. A little higher than that.
40 million.
$350 million.
Wow.
So we're reading scripts. Can we read scripts?
$350 million.
Right? For $350 million, right? You'll read scripts.
I'll read it all.
So, you know, we talked about calling, we talked about writing, right? And how about visiting, right? We can door knock, Popeyes, and random encounters. So door knocking, we know what that is, right? We door knock communities. We plan that, we bring market information, we're coming from contribution. Popeyes are prior clients, or people that you just have done a CMA for, you haven't talked to in a while. Just pop by, give them some new information, something to change their world. And random encounters, that's like the one that I had at Trader Joe's. Okay? And I had in Whole Foods or Macy's or wherever it happens to be. Right? Those are random encounters, they're casual meetings. So we have to know who we're visiting. Now, there's the ones that I think on here that are interesting is we know about residents and for sale by owners and farming. How about people in apartment complexes? Do you think they could be buyers?
Absolutely.
And they may not know it, right? We know about homeowners around open houses that circle prospecting for the open house. How about corporations? Visiting HR, find out who's moving into the area. How about banks and people that might be doing mortgages or opening new accounts, or people that are talking about moving into the area they've come to meet? Builders, building relationships with builders. You guys got a lot of new home communities down here.
Yeah.
Have you been to all of them and met all of the people? You need to. Go meet them, because they are not allowed to do general real estate. So if somebody comes in, they want to buy an existing home and they don't have one that meets their needs, they're not allowed to do general real estate. If you had a relationship, do you think they might call you? Go build a relationship. My former wife had a relationship with several people that sold homes in new communities, and she got a lot of referrals from people that couldn't buy in the community. They weren't ready, they didn't have a house ready, or they needed something different. Or she got the referral on the listing because they wanted to buy in that community and they needed somebody to sell their house. Builders, go talk to the builders. You guys are set up, you have a huge opportunity here. Obviously your Mets, and obviously this last one is anybody you run into, anytime, any place. So there's a quick exercise that I already know what the answers are. So on page, it's page 54.